Fine. So 6th of October 2019, Sunday, 4:41 p.m. It's been a while. So hello.
Hi, Loris. How are you?
And should we do the traditional?
Yes, we want. It's
All
okay.
right. So what brings you to Latvia and what are your impressions?
Okay, all right. So, yeah, it's been a while, like almost going to be 2 years now, soon, when I came to Latvia. And I came actually in February 2018. And I was been traveling. Travel and tourism is my passion. I've been traveling almost 20 countries so far, and all have been from my personal budget, I would say.
Hmm.
And I was working before in India in travel and tourism background. Actually, yeah, okay, it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually a tourism professional. I did my graduation in tourism studies back in India.
What does that mean?
Bachelor in tourism studies.
Tourism studies.
Yeah, it's basically graduation into travel and tourism field.
Cool.
Yeah.
Meaning you can predict where people like to go.
Yeah, if I talk to them, and know his interest and behavior, then I could recommend something like what would be your interest, which are the destinations. Like some of my friends usually ask, I want to go such places and I have this kind of interest to explore. So what do you recommend?
So you are a human Google.
We can say I know like world geography so much. Even when back in India, when I was not studying tourism, I used to see the world map in my mobile phone, and I used to see the capital of different countries, what are the language, and basically you can say the world map is printed on my mind. So if you
That's
say,
interesting.
yeah, so I have been studying. I've not said I'm master of it, but I want to discover it.
You
as
have time to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was good, and I come actually from a very rural part of India. It's a state called Bihar, which is down to Nepal in India. It's an Indian state, but I'm giving a geographical location. It comes from the down from the Nepal
So it's a
bordering.
mountainous region.
Not my state comes from the mountain region. Some parts belongs to mountainous region, but not exactly my place. But when you go to the other side of Nepal, then yeah, the Himalayan range starts from there.
All right.
So yeah, so I did my graduation from my hometown, and then I came to Mumbai, and I lived for several years, for 5 years and almost 6 years in Mumbai, and worked for different travel companies. And only even I escorted tours from India to China as a tour manager.
So you were traveling to China for your job.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it was actually a business tour.
Yeah.
Like there are certain exhibitions happening in China and as well as in Germany for different products and different industries. For example, I used to take the plastic industry fairs exhibition, which is happening in Shanghai and in Guangzhou. So what my job used to do, that I used to contact those professionals, managing director of different plastic and from this rubber industries companies, that this event and exhibition is happening in Shanghai for this particular date. So we have a very specialized program for you. So
Yeah, sounds like a busy job.
yeah, so I would contact them and I'll take them to the fairground. It includes like all packages, I would say. It's like we used to sell like trade fair tours. The concept is trade fair tours.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you were a busy man. Right?
Can say when the exhibition date are coming nearer, and then you have like 30 seats and so, and if the 25 seats are sold, that you have to sell those 5 seats. So that period used to be quite busy. And that was my first experience. I had never traveled out of India, but my first journey out of India was traveling as a tour manager.
Yeah, well, sounds quite logical.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but yeah, I was never been to even in the flight, right? So, but when I traveled for my first time using my blank passport, the 20 people behind me was my responsibility.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I was traveling as a tour manager. So if there are any questions, then they will ask me directly, oh, what to do now? So, and they were like not general tourists, they were like all professional, well-traveled businessmen. So, and they observed sometime that I am traveling for the first time, because it was like back in 2011, and I used to be quite young. It was the starting phase of my career.
Mm-hmm.
I was not healthy like this time around. So I used to be like kid of 10th or 12th class student. So, but yeah, that was good experience. I started from Guangzhou. That was my first journey out of India. And then yeah, I worked for India for 6 years, and then I moved to Middle East countries. I worked in Saudi Arabia for 2 years in travel e-commerce business, basically in online technology.
I guess you got lucky, right? Because I've heard that in Saudi Arabia, Indians work as slaves almost.
Well, I would say there are all types of people. There are even laborers who worked very hard for all construction companies.
Mhm.
There are mid laborers. There are professionals. There are doctors, engineers. Even there are so many professionals who are working with diplomats as well. So I would say there are 6 million Indians living and residing in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the largest residents from the third countries from India basically.
So how did you end up in Latvia if you were in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, so Saudi gave me a good fund, I would say.
Okay.
I saved a good amount of money. That was my prime objective, because in Indian salary, of course, it's good. It has a good bright future, but if you want to make good savings, I would say, the Saudi doesn't have much we won't say the lavish life. You don't go out and don't do party and all. Everything you have, like company has given you the accommodation, your food, insurance, transportation,
The basics.
everything was included. So basically I don't spend my money.
Mm-hmm.
My money is with me almost 90%. So with the grace of God, my health was also well. So I saved some fund, and then I invested back in my career to pursue my higher studies. So I funded basically myself to come to Latvia.
Wait a second. You were in Saudi Arabia. You were making good money.
Yeah.
And why did you decide to come to Latvia?
So that was I could stay. I could renew my contract back in Saudi Arabia, and I could continue living there. But I wanted to see much more of the world, interact with more people. Saudi used to be a little bit reserved. Okay. And the temperature was pretty much harder. Like it was used to be 50, 55. It was extreme hot, and I didn't see my life in a longer term there in Saudi Arabia. I wanted to be more engaged with different kind of communities, more interacting, working with different people. So
Isn't Saudi Arabia full of different people now?
No, your communication is very much limited with your people only.
Why?
Well, first of all, there are no tourist visa now. Recently, from last 1 month back, they have launched tourist visa. So there are no tourism inside the country. They had tourism, but they were promoting within the residents. They were not giving tourist visa to the world. They have recently launched 1 month back tourist visa to certain nationals. When the new prince came, and then he developed some, he also launched some theaters. Previously there was no theaters in Saudi Arabia, and there was no clubs and all. So of course the alcohol is prohibited still today.
But you can buy alcohol, right?
No, you can't buy. You will not get it.
No, wait a second. If you are there as a Muslim, you just won't drink it. But you can buy probably
it is not possible. It is not selling there.
What? Really?
Yeah, it is not
But
possible.
But then they have other drugs, I guess.
No.
Come on, they
If
probably
there is
smoke
something, if they are selling somebody, if there is somebody selling, maybe, I don't know, but it is strictly prohibited. And if you are found with that kind of drugs or alcohol while selling or consuming, there is a very hard punishment you will be given. And that punishment is given within the presence of all the residents, so that the people know that if you do this, these kinds of punishment are given to you.
Have you been to some public?
There was one punishment, but yeah, I couldn't go. I had my office, so I know like it is happening on every Friday. After Friday prayer, there's a big ground, and they will do in the presence of everyone.
It sounds almost fun.
It's like fun, bit strict. Yeah, you have to be guts. Sometimes the hardest punishment is for rape. And if the rape is proved, then they will cut the head in the presence of women. Rape and murders.
It's interesting
And,
that it's
yeah.
still happening, though.
Yeah, it's very much.
You would
happening.
imagine that they
So
just won't.
that's why the people are not doing this kind of things. If they have to make some fun, they will go to Bahrain, the country which is connected to
I've heard of that.
land
Yeah,
connected.
that they just cross borders.
Yeah, they just got borders. So the people are so afraid that if they do within the country of this kind of crime, it's very much punishment. So I would say my life in Saudi was very good.
Maybe I'm mistaking it with Arab Emirates.
Yeah, you're
Maybe.
mistaken with United Arab Emirates.
Maybe.
There the tourism is one of the source of economy.
Yeah.
So there the alcohol is selling too much. I mean, not you will not get fined as a public like you will not get it in a shopping mall or something like that, but you will get in a bar, in a restaurant.
And Saudi Arabia was just a oil producing country for America, basically.
Could
right?
say, yes.
Yeah.
America is a great friend of Saudi, and they have a very big plant as
Were those
Aramco.
were those the people who killed the journalist in Turkey?
That was in Istanbul.
Yeah, but was it the Saudi government?
Yep.
All right.
The Mashruki. Sorry, I'm not getting his name. Yeah,
some Mishogi or
Mashruki. Yeah, he was basically writing some articles, which was not liked by the Saudi prince.
Which is weird because Saudi Arabia has been criticized all over the world.
Yeah, but he doesn't they don't like their own citizen criticize themselves.
I guess so.
So he was basically called to the embassy in Turkey, Istanbul, to collect some of his documents so that he could get married to his Turkish girlfriend. But when he went inside, then there was some incident which happened. Nobody knows what happened, but the government acknowledged that he is no more.
I think the Turkish government said that they know what happened.
Then they say that
they just didn't want to disclose the full details.
They said that they have because if they would have published it officially, then they would have been in trouble, because it is unofficial and illegal to record any kind of data which is happening someone's inside consulate, like it is a private information. Yeah,
probably.
So they didn't publish it, but they said like they have proof that this whatever exactly what happened.
Yeah,
but they didn't publish. And later when they came with such a strong information, then the Saudi government acknowledged that yes, he is no more now, and that's all. They don't ask much questions. Whatever the officials guilty would be there, we are investigating the things, and then they will be penalized.
All right, back to your original story. You were in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
You saved up money.
Where
did Latvia come in the picture?
I will tell you. So I was in Jeddah. Basically, Jeddah is the western province of Saudi Arabia. The eastern province is in the between. There is a capital called Riyadh. Eastern coast has the Dammam and Al Khobar, which is another commercial hub. Center has one commercial hub, which is capital Riyadh, and the western has one commercial hub, as Jeddah. So there are only just 3 major cities. Apart from that, all the small provinces which doesn't have many industries. Rest is desert. Okay, so I was in the western part, and I completed my tenure. And then I thought, okay, let's go for the further studies, because I had done just graduation. I wanted to pursue my higher studies, and then from there only I searched different universities in Europe, and then I found it at Latvia sounds good. Okay, there is a Turiva University, and I applied from there. There was some test online. I finished it. I got my acceptance letter. Then I didn't renew my contract, and then I go back to India, applied the visa, got it, and come back.
So you basically Googled.
Yep, completely Googled.
And Latvia just came up.
Yep. I was also searching in Poland and in Germany.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So there was not much favorable, because I had done graduation back in 2009, and from 2009 to 2018 I was working. 2017 end. So it was like 8 years of gap from my graduation to masters.
And which
So
was a problem for them?
for some university, it is not much appreciated.
Oh.
Yeah, but Riga acknowledged it that okay, you have been working for the same industries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a tourism professional. I did my graduation in tourism, and then I worked for the same kind of background. So they acknowledged it. Okay, you have not doing something different, and then you come back to something different.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, and when I came here, I did my course. Like most of the thing was familiar to me, the concept and ideas and theoretical information, whatever they are giving. Okay, I know some of the. I'm familiar. I have been doing this from last 7 and 8 years. So
Yeah. Well, you are actually a professional.
Yeah.
Who's just wanting to have its. You are sort of the other way around. Mostly people get their academics first, and then they get their professional experience. You are sort of
yeah, I did my academic first, then they worked for 8 years, and then again doing academic.
Yeah, you have.
It
other
was a bit
experiences.
challenging for me because my family used to ask like, Shahid, what are you doing? You should time to get married and start your family. Why
Well-
you want to do study now?
Well, that's probably traditional in India, right?
Yeah, it is pretty much traditional because being in Middle East countries, you are seen as a very good candidate to get married.
Mm.
Okay, so and you get proposal from different good families, like they would like you to get married and so on. But my intention was no, I should go further and do something better before I get married. So
Yeah,
that
well,
was the reason.
you seem like a guy who just wants to see the world.
I have been trying to do so. Yeah, so far I have been doing whenever the opportunity knocks. I do so. I do travel.
So tell me, what is the comparison between Latvia and Saudi Arabia?
Oh, huge. I would say the big changes and difference which you can compare is the temperature. It's extreme hot there and extreme cold here. So before coming to Latvia, I was even in Qatar for 3 months actually, in Doha. So it comes in the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia. I mean from the one stretch it comes the Qatar, Bahrain and Saudi stretch, and in the western coast is the Jeddah and some other Saudi cities. So that country was, I would say, extreme hot. For even I lived in Jeddah for 2 years, my life was okay. I would say the temperature was not so painful to me. It used to be okay. I can walk in the afternoon as well for like 10-15 minutes.
You probably had air conditioning. Right?
Yeah, of course you have an air conditioning in your office and your home as well.
So
it's everything is covered. But sometimes like you have to walk for 5-10 minutes. It is maybe possible. Every time you don't have your car, maybe sometimes you have to go in a corridor or somewhere. So it is possible. But in Qatar it was extremely painful. You can't walk in a summer for like 5-10 minutes. You must have sunglasses. When you go for like water knob or something, it will be like extreme boiled water will come. And when you have to take bath in the morning, then you must keep the water in the night itself in the bucket,
because otherwise it's just
because if you open the shower, the boiling water will come up because the sun starts very early morning and the water storage in the terrace of the home. So the sun heats the water in the morning itself around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
yeah.
So when you open the water, so you will get the extreme hot water. So if you forget to keep the water in the night, so you mix the chilled water from the fridge, mix it, maintain the temperature, and then you take the bath.
All right.
So the temperature was one of the major difference, I would say, from Latvia and Saudi Arabia. And definitely it's a big two different worlds in terms of people. Here you have mixed of people, like you have different European nationals also residing, we have Asians here, African also, so you see different faces, different languages and so on. But there in Saudi Arabia, majority you will see either the Saudi people, of course, and then there are second is Asians, including India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. These four countries.
When you say Asians, you mean also Indians and Pakistanis?
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, it geographically makes sense, but when I hear Asians, I always think of Asian people in general, as in Chinese, Japanese, Korean.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I would say from here it depends how person have been familiar with.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. That's what I mean.
And
Because in a way, you could say about Egyptians that they are Africans, right?
yeah.
But mostly when
So
somebody
we
hears
have
African,
also a differentiation of Asians, like Far East Asians. Far East Asia is including Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore,
okay,
Vietnam,
okay,
and Indonesia. So these are Far East countries.
Mhm.
Southeast Asia is India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and yeah, and then
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia. If
So
I'm not
Southeast
wrong.
Asia,
If I'm not
wasn't
wrong,
there
yeah.
a problem with Southeast Asia or the
That
sea?
was South China Sea.
Oh, South China Sea.
Yeah,
All right.
that is South China Sea.
So wait a second, isn't South China then Southeast Asia or South Asia? I'm confused a little bit.
Yeah.
So South China, is that what you said about being
South China is between Philippines,
okay?
Japan, and China. In between the sea area,
Hmm.
they have some complications, and this they claim
So
these
that's
waters.
still the Far East
That-
Asia part.
No, it is geographically there is no. I mean, I would say it is not divided. It is used to indicate the certain countries.
Okay.
Okay, there is no geographically it is distributed.
Hmm.
Okay, Central Asia, when you say Central Asia comes with the Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all these countries. Turkmenistan,
I would have guessed just Mongolia.
yeah. I mean, yeah, Mongolia and Russia and China, all this comes, I would say, they are all Central Asia. Then this is Central East Asia.
Hmm.
I mean, the Central, North, South, there are much. I mean, Asia is quite big, so we have to be
Hmm.
a little bit indicate the geographical location to indicate certain part of world.
So India is South Asia,
Southeast Asia.
and what is Southwest Asia?
Southwest, I don't think there is any term Southwest Asia. I don't think so now.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, but majority in labors, I would say they come from Nepal, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. I would say the for the construction workers and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the all classes of people, like you have shops and all where you go for mobile recharge, different kind of shop like A to Z, because Saudi do not work in these small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they give these kinds of work to these country nationals, so they will come and they will do the business. But the thing is that you can't own your business 100% there in Saudi Arabia or any Middle East countries. You have to make your partner 30 or 40 or I think 50% of any Saudi citizen, whether he is working with you or no, but you have to make your partner there.
All right. So people probably make fictitious partnerships.
Yeah, they do the partner, and that partner sponsor you basically to stay there in
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia. So it's like 50-50 business, I would say. Like I give you residency, the Saudi also acknowledge Indians very much, because they have also supported a lot to grow their economy, to grow make their buildings and so on. Because this is the reason, like the UAE is whatever today,
Mm-hmm.
it would not have been possible without Indians, or I would say the complete Southeast Asians.
Mm-hmm.
What these people have worked for them, because no Emiratis worked for themselves. They put their money into the development, but who actually worked? These Asians worked, right?
Mhm.
The Asian made their buildings, their infrastructure, their roads, development, and so on. So you put the money, and then we worked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they acknowledge them, Indians and Pakistanis, very much. And when there is any crisis or anything, the government very much comes. It's very humble, the Emirati Sikh.
Really?
Yeah, it's very humble. There was one few last year, back in 2018, there was one flood came in India, in the southern part of India, a state called Kerala. And the Kerala people lives a lot in the Middle East countries, particularly from this state. So the Sheikh came to know about these things, because India is in crisis, and because one state is the state from where the people have living in UAE a lot. So India offered UAE offered a big amount of money as a donation for the flood victims, but the India didn't accept it. Like, thank you for the offer, but we are much capable to manage our own things.
So wait a second, was it pride?
I would say pride, because if they would have accepted the money, it would have some sort of favors, I would say, or diplomatically there is some money is taken, then there are some cooperation which you have to show off, I would say. Because if the country is much capable to manage, if it is some other poor countries, you can understand. But India is a big economy, and if they say like we can handle themselves, we don't need money, we appreciate your effort and support, because they actually naturally they came with like, because your people have been living and they have supported me, they have supported our country, so we want to cooperate them. But then they said okay, money was not accepted, but they it was good.
Honestly, it sounds a little bit weird.
Yeah,
I would have just taken the money and considered it a donation.
Well, I would say some people in the southern part of state were actually angry. There was some protest when the sheikh is offering this kind of money. Why don't you accept it?
Oh well, maybe the sheikh should have just not offered money, but just general humanitarian aid. Since it's a catastrophe, he could have just provided some food items, clothes, the usual.
Technically,
that
I would
be
say
probably different.
Yeah, I would say, but I would say still India wouldn't have accepted it. I think so, because they have been manufacturing. Because if they are giving all these things, no, it doesn't work like that. Because this, whatever you said, clothes, works, these all things are manufactured in India and exported to them. How they can give it to them, because they are not manufacturing.
Look, but that's the thing. It's being manufactured and exported to them, so they are paying for it.
Yeah.
But they could just say, "All right, we are paying for it, but you can have them."
It was like, I understand, but it was not that much in that depth. It was much more about Twitter game. The sheikh tweeted that we are willing these things.
Yeah.
We are willing to pay this much amount of dollars in millions.
How much?
I don't remember the exact amount. What was it? But it was good amount in USD. It was just one tweet from the sheikh, and then the Indian ministry replied, "Thank you for this." Then the story was finished.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just Twitter game. There was no official, but yeah, it is considered as official because the tweet came from the official.
Yeah,
ministry,
but that's what countries do. They help each other sometimes.
Yeah. So it was good. I mean, the situation was recovered within 1 month, so it was a good experience. So yeah, coming back to topic. Then I applied my visa. It was a little bit risky for me because quitting my job back in Middle East countries where you are settled everywhere, everyone, like not everyone gets from India to Saudi Arabia or in Middle East countries. It is not easy nowadays, I would say, to get the job and get a settlement there. But for me, I wanted to have some good thing, and for some good things you need to take some risk also. So I basically took the risk to quitting my settled job and came back to India and applied my visa.
How come that it wasn't possible to be a sort of what would you call that you work on the internet for them? Would it be not freelancing, but it would still be some type of job that you just do mostly on the internet away from Saudi Arabia? Don't they have those type of jobs?
Freelancer job, you mean?
No. I mean, you quit your job, came to Latvia. Didn't they have any option that you don't quit your job? You just change positions to be able to travel to Latvia, study in Latvia, and still work for them sort of part-time?
No, it is like when you are here in Saudi Arabia, on someone sponsorship, and that sponsorship need to pay a good amount of money to the government. So if I am on someone in sponsorship, he need to pay and I need to justify the money. So it was actually very expensive for them, and I need to return those money in terms of profit I should make. Because when there are one Saudi is employed, then you get like you can hire one is a 4-1 ratio, like when you hire one Saudi, then you can hire 4 employees, and that one Saudi will not work for you. So basically you have these people have to take out his salary also, and then these 4 people will also pay for the government tax, for the residence permit, which is very huge. Now it is more huge, and then for the insurance and so on. So it was very much expensive, Saudi, in terms of hiring a foreign workers. And it became more when I left. I heard like there was some job threat also, which was possible, so I felt myself not secured in a long term. So I said, okay, let's get something better and bigger and do something better. Okay, being in Saudi, okay, you can make some good amount of money, I would say, if you stay for 10-15 years. But for me, my point of view, money is not everything. You have money in your bank account, but you're not utilizing this, you're not fulfilling your happiness, you're not seeing the world. What's happening?
Is it something from the religion? Because you're not the first one from India or from the part of the world who says this. Money is not everything. We should actually try to get along. And
well, I'm not quoting this from any religious quotes.
But is it more like a culture? Because to me, for instance, or to I would say to the most or for the biggest parts of Europe and also America, money is also not everything, but it gets you the thing that you want most of the time.
It is so one of the important
real necessity.
It is definitely, no doubt. It is something, but it's not everything. I know some people, for them this is everything. That's why I'm quoting, because my colleagues, they were not married like me, okay, and we were on the same pay scale. He has also same expenses as mine. I don't know what was his actual responsibilities and so on, but according to my knowledge, no, not much. So even he is getting, but he is not spending that kind of money for his wills and desires. So maybe he's making something bigger and planning bigger, but I don't think so. So some people should utilize those money to fulfill your desires and what you actually want to do in your life. So for me, I thought, okay, let's skip the Saudi plan. I mean, not skip, I did it.
Evolve.
I completed it, but I should move on. I should not stick to this, because I see my colleagues who are very senior in my age, like I see my life, okay, if I stay there, how my life is going to turn out to be like my colleagues. Maybe I'll get like I work better, I'll get promoted, and I'll be in a cabin with my manager.
Future,
but even if I seeing my general manager or my senior manager who is living inside the cabin, I see the pressure, what kind of thing he's doing, and I see myself, do I want to be like that? No, I don't want. I want something different. It's okay, I must get out from here and do something, plan something for better. So yeah, and it was a good decision. Before coming to Latvia, I did my good research, I would say. In Saudi, I was researching about the Latvian towns, which are how many are municipalities, what do they eat. From my Google map, I was searching around the universities, like what are the gym, where are the food places, how is the rooms. I was seeing some YouTube videos, what the students are talking about this university, what students are talking about the country, what is the earning sources there, how is the people and everything. So I did my, I would say, 2-month research before applying through the visa. And
did you do that also for the other countries?
No, because at that time I had decided, okay, Turiva has accepted me, so more or less I'm going through them. So then I started. I did basic thing about Poland also, but it was not that.
Can I ask you, why didn't you choose Estonia?
Estonia. No, for me, I would say my stream was not there. Travel and tourism, I didn't find much possibilities there. Main thing was, as I said, the university. in this university was the course which they have. It was recognized from WTO, World Tourism Organization, one of the exclusive university here. So it was more about the university, I would say,
Okay.
not about the country and regions.
Get it?
I searched once in Sweden as well, but it was more than my budget,
Mhm.
because I had to also see my, like, if I'm not working there in Latvia, I have to support myself for 2 years.
Mhm.
So I had like limited savings from my end, which I had to fund my university fees, my living expenses there,
Mhm.
and if in meantime if I travel to India, then there would be also some flight tickets and all. So within this kind of budget, the Latvia was most suitable, because I knew the hostel rent and so on, and what are the average expenses. So I thought, okay, this is a good option, and there was not much time to do a lot of research. Okay, you're finding universities accepting, the process is smooth, then visa ratio is good, which people were talking about, like Latvia usually grants a visa if you have good reasons to study. Like for me, my background was tourism. I did my graduation in tourism, so, and next course which I am going to do is also the same.
Mhm.
So it makes sense. I'm not bluffing them.
Yeah, you're a specialist.
Yeah. So, but for some other people, when I came to know, they were from engineering background, from computer science, but they are studying tourism because they want to study tourism. It's for them, it's a first class, but for me, it was familiar thing. So I thought, okay, I have more chances to get the visa
Mm.
because I'm funding myself and I'm responsible for myself. So yeah, plan turned out to be according to my expectations. And when I came here, there was nothing surprise for me like for other people. I came to know, oh, this is that. The people are not like this. Oh, in the shopping mall, you don't get this kind of vegetables. I know. I was expecting these things. So
So what kind of vegetables don't you get?
yeah, there are many. I would say the vegetables which here you have one or two. If you go to India, you are like, you have choices like 10, 15 in all the seasons.
Okay.
There are some vegetables.
It's because of the climate, right? You grow
Climate,
them.
yeah. There are one of my favorite vegetables which I still have not find here. It's okra.
Okra?
You know okra?
Not at all.
It's actually in India it's called ladyfinger. If you search with ladyfinger also it will get, and in Egyptian and all they call it okra. OKRA, but you can search with the ladyfinger, it will come most.
Ladyfinger?
Yeah, it sounds a bit funny. Maybe
Biscuit.
you search the image, it will be much
Okra,
fun.
yeah. Has,
Yeah. So this is my one of the favorite vegetable, which I have not seen ever in Latvia.
Is it a vegetable or?
Yeah, it's vegetable. It's very delicious.
Seems like a pea.
No, not pea. So it's a long one like a finger. If you see in the top.
Yeah,
this one. Yeah, this one is like.
It looks like a pea pod.
Well, that is just a seeds, but it doesn't. You don't eat like that. You need to eat full.
You eat the whole thing?
Yeah. We need to eat the whole thing. Just cut the upper part of it, and then you can eat it. And then there are so many vegetables which is not here. I would say it's more about the climate. Yeah. So, but everything was accepted to me. I knew what's going to happen. So
do you have Instagram?
Yeah, I have Instagram.
I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Should make an Instagram post.
Okay. So that was good, and I traveled good here when I came, because this was also reason you get the access of another European countries. I traveled to Estonia first.
Also, you were just actually more concerned with school. It had the recognition for the education.
One of the reason.
And the second benefit is the EU.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
You are very reasonable.
Yeah. And I had my same background. That's why which I wanted to pursue, because when I used to apply for some bigger positions or some good position, I would say, I used to see like you need to have masters or MBAs.
Do you have the same type of classification as we? We have bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and then other countries have LLM and different kinds of other abbreviations.
Bachelor, master's, doctorate, same.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Schooling, I don't know how it works here, because in India it's like from 10, then 12th, then graduation.
You mean from 10?
1 to 10 is a standard primary school education, from class 1 to class 10.
Huh,
Then
I
in
guess
the 10th is the main exam, which are called board examination.
yeah.
Yeah, which is conducted by central government, and also some boards are taking state government also.
I would say it's a little bit different here because we have sort of a similar model as in, for instance, Germany, but we just don't execute it on it as much because we sort of have the system where you have the first, I think, 6 classes, then till 9, then till 12, and then
Okay.
that's it. That's it. And they had talks about introducing a 13th class,
Mhm.
which seems ridiculous to me.
And after 13,
Then you can just go to university.
bachelor, then for bachelor.
Yeah, yeah.
Then there'll be like another
So-
4 years.
Yep. So
Okay.
let's just see whether or not we have. Whoops. Does it record? Seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah. Do you use filters?
It's okay.
Alright, so I'll copy paste it and you. Can you write your. What's it called?
But are you posting the video or the images there?
Video.
Okay.
And.
But that will go live?
What do you mean live?
I mean,
I've never used Instagram Live. Can you write down your is it a username
okay.
or a tag? I'm not sure, but you know what I mean.
No.
Can you write
It could
yourself?
be like, oh, it's in French, so I don't know. Maybe here.
Well,
Oh, sorry. It's like there's an option tag people, but you need to follow me first.
no, I think you just need to write at, right?
Okay.
And then you can write your username.
Yep.
Okay, and now it should be. So it's uploading. I should probably get the notification, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm checking.
See? There you are.
Uh-huh. Let me check what notification I'm getting. Just a second.
Hmm?
Just a sec.
By the way, why do you have 2 telephones? Do you sell drugs?
No, I just brought that phone to record. This iPhone sounds much
Oh, really?
better clarity, I would
Really?
say. Yeah. So I'm not still recording it. Yeah, okay, I got it. Okay, so yeah, maybe you can ask something, then I tell you. It was more about Saudi life and that way life.
Actually, if you want, we can do your questions.
Yeah, we can start that.
Sure.
Okay, so let's just start this thing, because this may go also a bit longer, so let's finish that one. Okay, so basically this research, I'm now basically into final of completing this masters,
Mhm.
and hopefully I should finish my master degree in November. But
In 1 month.
yeah, I need to submit this in November, so I have
Alright.
but before I complete, I need to submit my master thesis,
Mhm.
which is a research paper which you need to submit, and there are different topics which you can choose. So I choose my topic based on couchsurfing, and the topic was guest satisfaction in Latvia.
Mhm.
The guests who are coming and staying here, are they happy? I mean, of course they are, which I have read from the references posted on different hosts. But there was some negative comments too, and majority, I would say 95% positive, but 5% negative too. But I wanted to conduct my own research, how it is happening, and wanted to take personal observation and conducting a special research on that. So I am doing this kind of research. How is their reviews from their stay and from the host. So this research has two part of process methodology. Basically, one is quantitative and one is qualitative. So quantitative, what happens, like I had some 10 questions which is common for everyone, and I picked some host from the references who had posted on host profile. So I contacted them through couchsurfing.
One what?
Host profile, like if you are a host, and you have certain references
on the profile.
So so I picked them. Okay, you had stayed there with this person. I didn't mention any name as such, but okay, you stayed with this host back in this year. How was your experience? I'm not asking a detailed analysis, but I have structured multi-choice questions. You can just pick it and I'll get it's basically a survey. Okay, and I need to get responses, which I'm already getting it. So I am checking this with the host guest members, and also I'm conducting some interviews with some expert host like you, who has references more than 100. Like the host must have been hosting from a long time, and he would have more experience. How when the guest is going from his home, is he happy, and how is his references, and so on. So based on that, based on your answers, and based on the survey results, I will analyze how happy are the guests.
Wait a second, how do you analyze happiness?
So it has there are some scientific structures, scientific methods. Okay.
For happiness?
Yeah, I mean, there are some satisfactions level. This is how the survey is being conducted.
All right.
Like, I'm not much a doctorate or something, but this is also, for me, this is also being learning process. Like,
so essentially client satisfaction.
Yeah, client satisfaction. And the professors assist you. They guide you, like what terms you should use, how the questions should be asked, and so on. So the advisor assist you, and then we work on it. I have already done actually the secondary data, this is primary data, like we conduct the interviews and so on. So we get the main core data, and based on that we prepare the analysis and final results. And apart from that, I also read some other researchers who have done it.
Can you tell me the aim? What's the purpose?
Yeah, the purpose is to evaluate the guest and host relationship in Latvia.
I mean, in a sense that what could come out of this research for...
Yeah, so the research could come out, you will understand when I'll go through the questions. So you will come to know why I'm conducting, what is the reason behind it. Okay. So in a short, I would say, like, is there any shortfall, is there any problem? I'm trying to evaluate this. Is everything going smooth, or are everybody's happy, or is there any room for improvement? If there is some room for improvement, I'll highlight these points, and then these things can be improved. The thesis can be published online, so the people can read about it and then they improve it. It's not
would the research in its final form be usable as a checklist or some type of tool for hotels?
No, it depends on the university, how they have given me a marks. Are they going to publish my research in a larger scale, or are they going to keep this sample for other students, how the research is being conducted? It depends on the quality of my research.
Well, what I meant was, could it be possible that your research results in something that is applicable in commercial settings?
It depends it depends. If somebody wants to perceive it, it will be written like this research is open accessible or no. It
But
depends
it's
on
not.
the
But it's
author.
not your original intent to make some tool for commercial
No. It
interest.
is not. It is purely for
Huh.
academic purpose. It is not being done for any couch surfing, or I am not giving this data to anyone, because when I am
But you
contacting,
should, right? But you should.
now when the then the purpose is different. Then you are doing for the commercial purpose. This is purely
But-
for academic purpose.
But you are
Later,
but
yeah.
your university is called business university or something like that, right? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
business house school.
See?
Yeah. So actually, when these if you get a good marks, then you personally sell yourself. I would say selling yourself is much better word. Like when you go to certain interviews and some companies, and then you say, okay, look, I had done this research and I had received a very good marks. So you can sell like, okay, I have these kind of experience also. This is one of the plus point for your resume, I would say.
It would be good if that's the case in your line of work.
Yeah.
It would be good. I don't know if how much your industry is concerned with research. I don't know.
There are much, because the researchers only tell them which trend is going wrong and which is going fine, because it much concerned, because in Spain, like there are a lot of research which have been happening in Spain, because few years back Spain tourism was not much, but nowadays
I don't know. I think Spain has always been a tourist attraction.
but now I'm saying comparatively to now,
All right. Yeah.
Okay. It has been in the mass tourism. People in the summer side, like everywhere, huge crowd. So I'm comparing from the previous time to now. This is going to be a huge change.
Okay.
So now the researchers are bringing how these things to be controlled, because for a local residents being residing in the same society or same locality, for him everything is expensive.
Yeah.
So because the flat owners, they are giving their flats to Airbnb, because they can make more money rather than giving this flat to the local resident. The food, shopping market, everything expensive because of tourism. So this is basically a problem for the residents. So whom you are benefiting because of tourism? For the resident, you are making a problem. So these research have been also come across a lot why this is happening. So research is, I would say, in a tourism, it's one of the important part. It's happening.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because tourism relies on detecting trends and actual patterns. So yeah.
So let's go through the questions. I would let's finish this, then it would give me a good idea to understand your experience as a host. I would have simple 10 questions, and you can go as short as you want. I mean, depends. I just want your observation, so you can go accordingly.
Okay.
And probably this transcript will be printed also in my appendix in my thesis.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
So let's start with the question 1. This is basically the overview about yourself. Tell me about yourself and your activity on couchsurfing. How many times you have hosted someone, and I'll also been as a guest. And do you also participate in hangouts or organize events on couchsurfing?
So currently I'm 29. I registered on couchsurfing. I think
maybe you can also say, sorry to interrupt you. Your full name, please, also.
Oh, Lauris Buics.
Okay.
So I'm currently 29. I think I registered on couchsurfing 2013. It was for a trip, work-related trip. I was being sent to Germany for 2 weeks, and the pay I got for the trip was, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around 900 euros, or roughly 1,000 euros. And so I googled the local hotels and hostels, and I figured out that for the two, if I want to stay in a hostel or a hotel, I would basically spend my whole money that I received from the workplace. And I had heard about couchsurfing from my sister, because she likes to travel a lot. She used to travel more, but she definitely likes to travel still. And so I've heard of that, registered, and in a fair amount of time, I actually got 6 hosts accepting me before I even went to Germany. So that was my initial plan, to actually save money while I was on a work trip.
It was in which year you said? It was in year?
In Germany.
Which year it was?
Year 2013.
2013, okay.
Yes. And so I went to Germany, and what I did was I saved that money that I got from my workplace, and I just bought a lot of souvenirs and gifts for my hosts as a thank you for hosting me. And so yeah, the 2 weeks I spent, I think I was really at 5 or 6 places around town. I was in Stuttgart, and so that was my first initial experience with couch surfing. Afterwards, I came back to Latvia, and starting in the summer of that same year, I started receiving requests to stay at my place. Right, so I hadn't closed my profile or anything, so I thought, well, yeah, why not? I might share some space, right? And so it started with just a few requests to stay, and in 6 years' time, it has resulted in hosting probably more than 1,000 people, and those reviews or the references were it's just a part. Right, it's just a bit from all of because sometimes I didn't really have the time, or I just forgot about writing some reference, so it worked both ways, right?
Okay.
So many people who have stayed here haven't wrote a reference, and I haven't wrote a reference for many people who have stayed here just because of either laziness or forgetfulness or whatever. So yeah, and well, that is in a short amount of time, I guess, the essence of the story with couch surfing for me.
Okay.
It just started for me. I figured it would be more economical for me. Ended up meeting a lot of new friendly people. They enjoyed my souvenirs and gifts. I had free lodging in Germany. So yeah, everyone was sort of a winner out of that.
So you also organize some events or also hangouts?
I've never, other than being hosted 6 years ago and hosting during these 6 years, I've never participated in any event when it comes to couchsurfing. Recently, I got a request or an offer from, I don't know how to call them. I would guess some type of moderator from couchsurfing.
Okay.
They offered me to be some type of
ambassador, they call it.
I guess the ambassador. Yes. They offered me that. I read about it and basically said, yeah, it might as well be another job. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so I politely declined.
Okay. And approximately how many times you were as a guest at some other host place?
6.
6 times just.
6.
Okay, so
only
more,
those 2 weeks in Germany.
Okay, that was the only
time.
Okay, so more,
yes.
You are the expert host, only being a guest, I would say.
Well, receiving guests, yes.
Yeah, okay, great. The next question is about the cultural exchange. Okay, what is your observation about couchsurfing role in a cultural exchange? Okay, and do you think that being you as a Latvian, you have exported Latvian culture among your guest members?
I think, yeah, for the first part, I think culturally it's definitely valuable to see people from all around the world, and not just exchange culture, but basically everything you communicate, you see them, you sort of exchange your values, ideas, thoughts. For me, when it comes to exporting Latvian culture, I don't know particularly Latvian culture, but I definitely have some form of identity export with me, right? Because if I have some memorable moment with those people, they remember it, right? I don't know if 5 or 10 years ago they still remember it as being Latvian, per se, but they definitely remember being in Riga or being at the particular place.
Okay.
Right. So I guess that could be the one thing, the sort of an identification with a certain moment, and mostly I would guess it's more personal, meaning if I'm the host, I'm creating the sort of the environment, right, or the feelings, the emotions, right. It's not necessarily the country in general, but I definitely see myself as a representative in that moment, right. If I would create an unpleasant environment, they might as well feel unpleasant about the general situation.
But this is not related to my question, but my questions on your answer. Because when being as a cast member, if I have stayed with you and if I relate and recall you, I'll connect this with you as in Latvia. Oh, Laura is from Latvia.
It would be sort of logical to think that way, but I'm just sort of trying to evaluate it from my point of view.
Okay.
I honestly, except those people I've met in Germany,
Okay.
right, I cannot remember somebody being from either he was from Spain or Italy, or I just remember him as a person.
I see.
Right? I could
point.
recognize him. I remember, but it's not. Of course, it's not black or white all of the time. But yeah, mostly it's about the person. And then second thought is, I guess he was from the Czech Republic. I guess he was from somewhere else. Right?
Okay, I understand.
It's but that's for me, right? I guess some people do have a sort of better memory and could actually relate each person to that particular country and not forget about it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So the third question is actually related to this, like why did you decided to start offering accommodation to strangers, and how this motivated, what actually motivated you to do this?
Actually, I didn't. I just forgot about my profile being active.
Yeah.
It's just literally that simple. I registered on Couchsurfing because I wanted to save up money for my trip to Germany, right? Because after the trip, I mean, I had bought gifts and souvenirs for the hosts. I covered all my expenses in Germany, right? And I still have some left money, and I bought that TV from the rest of the money, right? So I remember my trip for with this TV basically. And but yeah, I just forgot that I have the profile up, and I started receiving requests, and so I thought, well, I was hosted, why not host them, right? It just sort of happened.
Both way, yeah. But I would say, like, you have been hosted only 6 times, but you have done a great contribution to the to the guest community, I would say.
Yeah, and it's just because out of all of those times, only a few would be the type of situations that I wouldn't like to do again, right? Either the people were not really observing house rules or similar things. But yeah, most of the time people are quite friendly and quite nice.
I understand. Fourth question is, how do you evaluate your guest request, and how do you analyze the risk factors maybe? Is this a threat for you, or how do you analyze these things?
I've heard of I've actually encountered it myself when I was in Germany. I requested to stay with I think she was a woman, and she declined because I didn't have any references, right? So, and I was wondering why. I mean, I'm registered, right? Why would you need somebody else referencing me to host me? But that was her response. And during these years, I've heard of several other guests who said that they got declined because they didn't have any references, and they were quite grateful to me that I actually hosted them without any references, and I was able to give them their first reference in a sense, right? For me, I'm educated in the law, right? And I'm not really concerned about what might go wrong, simply because I have all our conversations online. I have everything to prove that you were here, right? So I'm not concerned about any thieves or other things that might happen, and it wasn't really the case, in any of those situations, because the people get vetted, right? It's not like I accept some anonymous guest. It's more like that they go through the registration process, and once they are finished on Couchsurfing, I am quite willing to accept that Couchsurfing does its due diligence with their users. And so if they get through the registration process, I'm fine with it. No other
So
strings
do you
attached.
mean to say that do you accept the request from verified people only, or the unverified?
No, I don't really look. I mean, if you are a user on Couchsurfing
Okay.
who is able to write to me,
Okay.
I'm fine. I don't.
Okay.
I really don't care about any of the verifications or any other bezels.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next question is, it's about your overall experience. Could you shortly describe your hosting experience so far? And was there any unpleasant experience with the guest that had an impact on your overall experience as a host? And at the end of the day, like, the guest was also unhappy because of that situation.
Well, generally during these 6 years, I would say I had a couple times where there was not a real, nice situation with the guests, but both times it was more related to. If I would be polite, I would say the exhaustion of the guests. But if I'm calling it as I view it, I think those people had problems with some addictions.
Okay.
Either some drugs or I don't know, but they didn't seem quite present, right? So yeah. Other than that, I would say there was no any. Well, the only times I could say that there was sort of a tricky situation is those times where it wasn't even present, right? Because many times I had situations where I was not there, but another guest could actually sort of let in the next guest, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I remember several guests arriving that way and being sort of pleasantly surprised that I was so flexible, right? Because most of the time the hosts would like to be there to meet them first before they let them in their home, right? But yeah, not me. I'm too lazy. I mean, if I have things to do and I said I will let you in or I will host you, if I can manage it without me being there, I will do it. So those people are pleasantly surprised then, and for me, maybe the first times I was a little bit curious how it will work out, just because I didn't have any clue. But yeah, after that, everything was smooth sailing.
So talking about more about the addiction which you said, it was like more from the guest side who came with certain habits which influenced your relationship or which impacted your experience with the guest.
Yes. I mean, when you first meet somebody, I would guess you probably need only 2 minutes to see if they're all fully present, if their mind is working logically, if they act as a normal person would act in the situation, right? But if their eyes are a little bit droopy, if they have a little bit slurred speech, and it's just because sometimes maybe it's because you haven't slept for 48 hours because you were hitchhiking. I don't know, right? But yeah, that's only a few of those could be remembered as being unpleasant, genuinely unpleasant.
Okay.
The rest is just literally people being physically exhausted or haven't showered for a week. So other than that, I mean, because I'm not really politically correct. I mean, if somebody stinks, I tell them in a sort of politically correct way as much as possible. But I basically tell them, "Oh, you need a shower. Here's the shower. Here's the towel. Go in." Right?
I understand. Next question is, what are the factors that influence to build a trust between the guest and host, and what acts and behaviors would decrease the level of trustworthiness?
I guess decreased. I'm not really experienced in decreasing. I know.
Like as you said, like you.
Oh, I
you
know.
also said,
Actually,
yeah.
I do know. Not responding fast, because if you start off your conversation or interaction with a possible guest, they sort of get used to you replying, let's say in 30 minutes or so, right?
Mhm.
And if it sort of happens that at a particular day maybe you didn't read it for 5 hours, right? I had some interactions where the guests got so nervous that they started just messaging me every 5 minutes. Where are you? Why don't you reply? What happened? Blah 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 blah. Right? Which was just, I told them that's silly. I mean, I told them where I was at work or university, whatever. Right? And I told them I will reply once I'm able to. But they sort of get used to that fast response, and if you don't give it to them afterwards, they sort of think you abandoned them or forgot about them. So I definitely recognize that as a decrease in trustworthiness, because a lot of guests have told me that they had experiences where a host had accepted them, and either a day before or even on the same day changed their mind, and so the guests were stranded without a host, without a place to stay. So I guess that comes from that. But yeah, for me, most of the time it's just a matter of, am I technically able to respond at the moment or not? But yeah, some people have taken that sort of longer response time as a signal that I abandoned them, right?
Okay.
But other than that, people usually trust me really fast because I'm quite, well, I guess they would call me generous, because again, but I call it flexible. I mean, I'm not a babysitter, right? If I deal with grown-ups, so if we arrange something, I will try my best to keep my part of the arrangement. If we talked that you will arrive at, let's say, at a certain time, if I won't be there, I will get somebody else to be there, or leave you the key, or do what's necessary.
Yeah,
so yeah, and that of course increases their trust immensely, because it's not really common as far as I can tell.
Being responsible, you mean, like?
Well, yeah, I mean keeping your word and
and
expecting them to do the same.
Yep, correct. Okay. Next question is, this question has been researched about some other researchers too, but I'm also pointing out here about, do you think that there is any sex dating with couchsurfing, and if so, is this a threat for the couchsurfing community, and how as a guest you should tackle this and identify such risks?
Can you repeat the first part?
Do you think that there is any term called sex dating with couchsurfing?
Sex dating?
Yeah, sex dating.
Sex dating with couchsurfers.
Yes, like if somebody.
Do I think that that's a case? That's a real thing?
Is that happening with couchsurfing? Somebody is using couchsurfing as a platform to have sex. Okay, and if so, is this a threat for the community? And how you need to identify such risks?
I don't think that is the main intent, but I definitely know that at least 10% of the possible guests or visitors of a certain location, they are looking more for companionship than a place to stay.
Okay.
So whether or not that leads to intimate contacts, that doesn't really change the main goal for them, because it's just, if a single traveler is going to a foreign city, he mainly uses some forums and couchsurfing sites to meet local people, just because he wants to hang around at a bar, do some things. So yeah, of course, it's possible to meet somebody and then have some intimate relations with them, but I've never encountered anybody that would be mainly for that purpose on
Yeah,
couchsurfing.
but my question was like, according to your observation like, from the different guests you have met so far, did you realize this kind of goals or intention from them, and did you find like these kind of things as happening? So that was the question.
No, never heard of it.
Okay.
I've heard of women
Okay.
that they are being approached sometimes by their
Yeah.
hosts.
Yeah, that's also the case. One of the case.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean that's just generally what should be happening. I mean, if I'm let's single and ready to mingle, right? And I see some nice chick requesting to stay. Yeah, of course, her physical attractiveness would be some factor in me accepting her stay, right? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I shouldn't be kicking her out,
Yeah,
right? In a sense.
understand, yeah.
But yeah, well, I guess during the whole existence of couchsurfing, some situations like that have happened. But I've never heard of anybody saying that because they refused the approaches from their hosts, for instance, that they got kicked out, or I've just heard that it made it awkward.
Yeah, I
Right.
can understand. So to summarize this, it's not going to be a threat in a longer term, I would say. In a longer term, this is not going to be any kind of threat for the community. Or
Oh,
like
threat?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay, I understand. Okay, the next question is related to my survey, which I'm already conducting. During this online survey with the guest members who had already stayed with a couchsurfing host in Latvia, I have received a very low percentage in guest home cleanliness. Okay, so is this a factor like need to be recovered, or some guests should consider this?
You mean the cleanliness of the
guest home
place or the
cleanliness.
guests?
No, the I had conducted a survey
Yeah.
where I had given a graph like they need to rate out the guest accommodation from the
Also, they
worst to the excellent.
So they rated the place.
Yeah, they rated the place.
All right.
So in that, the accommodation for the other factors like behaviors and
Alright, I get it.
overall experience was okay and good. For the cleanliness, I received a very low percentage. So I wanted to know your perception. How is this something need to be considered from the guest point of view, or how it is?
Well, if you ask me personally, it's really up to them. It's really up to them because if I have, let's say, a free room, I show them where everything is, including the vacuum cleaner, including everything you would need to tidy up, right? But yeah, again, when it comes to couchsurfers, I expect them to be grown-ups.
Yeah.
Meaning I'm not a nanny, I'm not a housekeeper for anybody, and the biggest problem for me sometimes is not really that I'm too messy personally. The biggest problem is that sometimes you definitely can see that people are used to living differently, right? Meaning that somebody is used to leaving some dirty things somewhere where others wouldn't do that, right? So it makes a discomfort for other people in a sense. And yeah, I mean, I've had people, let's say 3 couchsurfers at the same time, right? Each one of them has their own level of hygiene, cleanliness, tidiness. So yeah, of course it creates a little bit of friction between them. And yeah, I would agree that that's a problem, but I'm not really too concerned about it because each and one of them they have their broom next to them, they have the vacuum cleaner, they know where everything is, they have the cleaning utensils at their disposal, right? And I've had guests who have actually left my place or the, let's say, room cleaner that they found it, but it's rarely the case. Really, usually it's they leave and I have to do something to clean it up, right? To make everything in order again. So I guess that's more of a quid pro quo game, because when I was a guest in Germany, I made sure that I leave everything in place as I found it, at least. So I actually, when I entered the room, I took pictures, right? So I know where everything was, how everything was folded and stuff like that, because I didn't want, because I stayed there for free, right? It's not like I paid them for cleaning, and yeah, so that was my intention. But yeah, I've had people staying here and then had to change the bed sheets and clean the floor, because well, most of the time it's just unintentional. But still. So yeah, hygiene is definitely a big problem, but the reason for that problem is because people don't like to own up or own their own responsibilities sometimes.
I understand. Yeah, this is one of the factor. Like, the guest has not to compare this from any commercial hotel.
No. I mean, when it comes to just the everyday use of things, it's sometimes really interesting to see how other people do their daily routines and what comes out of it, and they consider it normal, right? It's just but then other people come in, oh, what a mess, right? Yeah, I mean, so it's more of a situation where you have the option, if you find something that's not in order for you, you have the option to change it. Whether or not you are taking that option is up to you. And yeah, I'll tell you right now, most people don't. Most people sort of have the complaining attitude, maybe, but not really the changing attitude, which is I mean, maybe it's a psychological barrier because they are not in their own home. Maybe they don't feel comfortable doing or some things. I don't know.
I can understand. Okay, next question is, it's connected with the same. Like, do you think, according to you, there is any possible factor which is lacking among host members, which need to be taken care to improve the guest experience in a better way?
You mean for hosts?
Yeah, for hosts.
How to improve?
Yeah, the guest experience.
Oh man, that would be a tricky one. If you ask me, the main concern for the people is logistics. Meaning if it's more close to the city center, to the biggest transportation routes, the better. And so when it comes to everything else, it's just a side note for the guests, because they usually have, let's say, 2 to 3 days where they want to spend in Riga, for instance, right? So they are concerned with, can we leave our things safely? Can we get some rest? And how easy it is to get around. That's mostly it. And if you have good Wi-Fi connection, that's just a bonus, right? And if you have a flat screen TV and all those other things, that's just a bonus. If you ask me, for hosts at least in Latvia, usually that is the quality standard. Just having the bare minimum available, right? So everything functions, everything's working, and other than that, when it would come to, for instance, the stiffness or the softness of the bed or something like that, now I personally wouldn't be concerned about it at all.
Okay, I understand. All right. So the last question is, which we already discussed, like what are the other possible ways to improve the guest experience, already discussed, and what message you would like to recommend who are going to start hosting in Latvia and accepting guests, who are newcomers and who are starting accepting guests. What do you recommend to take care for the guests?
That would be simple. Just imagine that you are coming into your place as somebody from the street, because I don't know why, but sometimes if we, let's say, do our daily things, we try to, we don't really recognize many things that we do or that's happening around us, But if you just try to visualize or imagine yourself in a different role, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy,
okay.
right? And so yeah, then you can notice, oh right, if I would arrive here, I would like to see this there, and then I could do this. So it's just quite easy to. And if somebody is starting hosting, I would just suggest, if they can, of course, they could just take some random person and ask them, do you have any suggestions if you would be staying here? Maybe you can recognize something I could improve upon. But other than that, it's just visualization. Just imagine yourself as being the guest. Imagine you have a big bag of your luggage, right, with you. You have 24 hours in this city. And start from there. How easy it is to access your apartment. What may be some complications for getting in, complications of getting out. Everything that's related to using the common spaces, the toilets, the baths, everything else. It's just pretty easy. If you are looking to host, then you can definitely imagine yourself as the guest arriving, and then you figure it out pretty easy. It's pretty easy. For me personally, what I did was just, I got annoyed by the same questions. So yeah, because I mean, a person arrives, he starts asking some questions, and then another person arrives, and he basically, half of the questions are the same as before from the other guest. So I started recognizing those similar questions, and I already made the answers in advance. So now, usually if I accept the guest, I send him a good amount of text, right? But if you read that text, if you understand that text, you don't have any questions. Just literally.
You ask some different questions.
Well, I mean, then we can talk about some individual things, yes.
Yeah.
But no standard questions anymore. Whether it be the access, the public transport, the Wi-Fi passwords, everything's just, if you read it, you're good.
Good.
So yeah, that would be actually the suggestion for a new host, to establish your own standard frequently asked questions sort of manual, right, for guests. So it's sort of I guess the introductory rules and regulations and common answers, right? So yeah, it's what hotels also, I guess, do.
Yeah.
Because they have the guest book.
Yeah. So while leaving or you can rate their services on TripAdvisor or on Booking.com and so on.
It's fairly common for surfers to actually like to sort of highlight some most favorite moments or things of the host, right? So if that host is really concerned with getting only positive reviews, he might as well just put something interesting up for the guests to use. I don't know what that might be. Whether, for instance, in 2013 it was more relevant. Now it's not that anymore. But I used to have, and I still do have, a computer for the guests. In 2013 it was almost like a big deal. But now everybody has smartphones, so nobody's really bothered by that.
Concern maybe possible about the internet Wi-Fi password would be the more.
Yeah.
This is one of
that's all. That's always relevant. That's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's all for the day for this interview.
And so, can we actually follow you? I mean, or your research? Will you publish it in a forum? We might.
Yes, definitely. Once the research is completed, I'll send it to my university for the further checks and any kind of changes and all. So once it is done, then I'll definitely send you a copy, the complete copy, which is.
Don't you publish it? Because
I'm not the one who decides.
Or your no. What I mean is, when for instance you finish, I think it's usually for all universities in Latvia. Once you finish a master's thesis, and I think also a bachelor's, you submit it to the university, and the university puts it up in a public domain.
Possibly they would do, but I'm not sure whether they are doing for all theses or what I came to know from my friends, like if you score a certain amount of grades Like if you out of 10, if you received out minimum 7, then they do publish it. Because even
that's a separate publishing. That's
Okay.
separate publishing. But what I
Okay.
mean is, I think basically all. I'm not sure whether 100%, but most,
Okay.
the majority of finished bachelor works, master's theses, and also promotional theses, doctorate theses
Okay.
are available on the internet just for free because it's
Research, yeah, I
I
understand.
think it's sort of related to the university exchange of information database, something like that, or maybe the
They have their but that
archiving.
they have their own database, but that is for the internal use of the students. It is not for publicly accessible.
Let me just quickly Google. So Turiba.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I should probably have some people name. So student research. Whoops. Or maybe not. Just seems like they only have the descriptions.
Okay.
Or maybe I should just see somewhere else. But yeah, what I mean is usually if somebody has finished their master's thesis, if you know their name, and probably it helps if you know the name of the thesis.
Thesis as
You
well,
just
yeah.
write it in Google and you get the
Yeah.
full PDF.
Yeah. No, even I have downloaded some documents, but it's not from the Turiba, but yeah, from there is a website called academia.edu, and then there's a website called ResearchGate. So there, majority of theses are published. I don't know if the university sends there or how they collect the sources, but yeah, I have been downloading from, and I have been checking thesis from there.
Let me just quickly check. Published master's thesis. Maybe Turiba doesn't really, because I'm telling you, if you would be Latvian University, yeah, see, Latvian University, for instance, had their own databases, and you just type in the name of the person,
Okay.
and yeah, off you go. Oh, actually, I think you can just
Okay,
roam
I
around.
know one student. Can you search for them? Can you search for
Latvian
her?
University.
Yeah, she studied. She just passed this year.
All right,
It's a AY.
like this.
Oh, no. She's from Turkmenistan. AY.
Like this.
A for alpha.
Like this.
Y.
Come on.
Okay. Oh, it's keeping. Okay, let me just search where exact. Maybe I have done this on
Yeah,
spell.
because if that's not the original,
It's about the student name. So she just passed this year. So
but Turiba,
from Latvia University.
Latvian University. All right, so
This is her name. Yeah, it's
so her
very much-
surname is with B.
Yeah, this is the name.
Yeah, it seems like it would be just the English version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that. Let's just see what comes up with B.
No, but this is her surname first.
Badayeva.
No, it's a B-A-B-A.
Yeah.
No, it's become B-L. So it's
Yeah, it doesn't. No, it doesn't show up. Doesn't show up. Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it just takes a little bit more time, but usually, yeah. You can have the. This is the description,
Okay.
and then you open it up, and well, I don't know which one is the right one.
Maybe you need to click that PDF from the top there.
Oh, actually, no. I need to correct myself. I think you had to be a student
Yeah.
to access, but then you can access definitely.
Maybe can you click that PDF? Yeah.
Because I think, yeah.
Okay.
See, I think you request a copy of the document and then you just need to log in. Yeah.
Okay, the same is also for the Turiva also. They have
Got
their
it.
own database system, but I have not searched the thesis there. But they have these, they call like 64,000 published articles or scientific researchers are there. So for any kind of topic which they give, they ask them to search the database from there. It's called ABSCO. I don't know, it may be with accessible with certain group of universities. They share the database.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you would look for couch surfing, how many things you would find.
There are many researchers. There are many researchers.
But in a general sense, probably just the phenomenon of couch surfing, right?
Okay. You're talking about the research or how?
Yeah. I mean, if you would just try to find something similar to your research, would you be able to find it?
Not in a Latvian context, but I have found in some different topics. Like there was one research in North Texas. There was a student here research, and then there was research, and actually I have like 10 to 12 theses on couchsurfing.
But specifically the type of research topic
which I am doing, no at all. They have done mainly about why this is trending so much and why the other sites are not popular at couchsurfing, because there are other sites like B servers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But these sites are not popular. Why couchsurfing became so popular? And there are some, like they claim like they have 12 million members so in and out current days. So why this is happening? And the other topic was more about sharing economy and people perceptions, studying and all.
Yeah, well, the sharing economy would be definitely researched.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So I have also one of the chapter as sharing economy in my thesis as well.
Yeah.
And major other chapters like I'm understanding how the reference system works, how is the couch and surface terms. So basically when I start the thesis, I define all these chapters. So the somebody is reading from the fresh mind, so you should know all these terms. If I have asked you about the reference system, so you should know what is reference.
Yeah.
What is couch? Does that actually mean in couch surfing? And what is surface? So I have described all these terms in the beginning of my thesis, which I have already written so far. And for results, I am collecting. Data I am already collecting now, and for the quantitative, I am already conducting some researches. So maybe if you want, I can give you the link also. Maybe you can send to your
those who request,
host.
Sure.
Your guest who stayed with you just to fill these questionnaires. It's just basic, like not even take 1 minute or 2 minutes just to click and submit to Google Docs.
By the way, how much do you use social media for marketing? Because you are in the business of tourism, right? So it means business of marketing.
I am actually doing something for my own.
What do you mean?
Whenever I get, not now currently, but I used to do. And I have one of my own project which I am working, not now, but as I said, I have my future vision to promote one website which I am already designed. If you want to see, you can also log in now.
Sure.
It's online shopping.
It's not
active? It's not at all related to this topic and anything. It's
but it's not active, or
it's active. It's but the cart I have disabled dot page, but I have my vision to register and to go for further. This is my website.
Housing, fashion, accessories. So what's it about?
This everything is designed by me. Products and everything is designed, carted, crafted. Everything is by me. So
what
this
do you
is
mean?
about
the design of the website?
Yeah, products imported. Everything is done. These pages are not customized because I just imported the product. Down if you go, there are so many products which I have. It already can customize and process page. So
is it a internet
shopping website? Yeah.
And how do you source your products?
So there are so many vendors online. Basically, they outsource their product, their wholesalers. Okay,
Is it like dropshipping?
Yeah. So yes, dropshipping concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I can buy from the AliExpress or from eBay. Basically, not buy, but can connect the
Yeah, you
products,
just connect it.
and then you customize your pricing and so on. So yeah, this is how it works. So the primary idea when I started this was for me to learn more about digital marketing, how to promote your products and run Facebook ads and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Then the idea was to learning myself rather than earning money. Of
Yeah.
course, earning money was one of the factor, but not everyone. I wanted to more learn about the terms,
Mm-hmm.
the new terms and all. So I thought like, why to promote someone else's product? Let's develop a product and then do market yourself, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
learn as you do.
Yeah, so if I have any loss, that would be for my own loss. I will not loss for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, let's develop a product, and I learned everything from YouTube, how to develop these pages, how to customize, how to create such pages which would actually liked by someone. This is in the website. There are some cuts are happening in the headings and all, if you see. But if I'm more about the mobile phone users, targeted audience is mobile phone user.
Okay.
So mobile is like actually they say that the researchers say that 75% of sales is happening from the mobile phone only.
Could it be that it is a little bit misleading? Because I would guess that most of the sales are being done on just a few platforms, right? Probably Amazon and some other few.
True, but the audience is quite big. Okay, and I had this question with in my mind when I thought of this concept, and there are millions of websites like this. Okay, nobody knows this airport, but there are hundreds and millions of websites like this, and they are getting sales. How, why, what is the reason? I was searching specifically this question in Google, why someone should buy from me and as a new e-commerce seller. Okay, the answer was they have Amazon and Flipkart and AliExpress has a huge the sales goes in millions and millions. But if, for example, if you see these products which I am creating, there are difference between the needs and desires. Okay, so the products which is under here, this is not a need of someone. This if I come across with these kind of products, it is not your needs, but if you see, you find it, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, so this could be found also on Ali.
You can find, but you need to search it, because the time tag
How did you choose that you would present?
That is a
one?
research which I have done. Okay, these products, okay, this looks attractive to me, so I will import this product and I'll change the name.
But what is your criteria to actually distinguishing this?
You can search creative cushions. You can search, and then you will get so many cushions ideas and so on.
So flamingo cushions were somehow top of the list for some people.
No, it is like if I run certain ads, which will go through to come to your feeds.
Okay.
If you have already knowing some digital marketing as far as I know. So if you have shown some of your interest in cushions or designs or in flamingo word also,
sure.
So you will get my feeds.
All right.
Okay. When I will publish my ad. So if you go through my website, okay, this looks interesting to me.
Yeah.
And then possibly you could say, okay, just €10, €15, so you can buy it. Okay, you will search this product and copy the text, and you will go on AliExpress and buy it. There may be possibility some people would do that.
So it's mostly related to internet search and specific terms.
Specific terms and a specific kind of interest which I am doing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you go through this is my core section, mom and kid desire. So these dresses you will not find in malls, which is like a mom wants to have similar dress with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to go in a party or somewhere, so they have the similar kind of dress. These things are not easily accessible in the shopping mall.
But where did you find all those photos?
This is all shown by the sellers.
Oh, so you use also the basically you also use the presenting material from your sources. It's just that you have a different site, different description maybe.
Yep.
Huh.
Different description, pricings, even the image customization.
But your pricing
and all.
can only be higher, right?
Of course, it has
Yeah.
to be like 10-20% markups or 30% markup, depends on how you.
At least 30%,
Yeah,
right?
at least 30%, because it also includes the advertisement cost and all. So I'm more into learning all these terms. But yeah, I've learned everything. Not everything, I would say, definitely, but I've learned the description, but not much into the ads.
So what happens when somebody wants to contact this?
Yep. So I'll get an email.
Huh.
So more or less, I would say the site is almost ready.
Yeah.
Main thing I need to focus on would be the ads, advertisement, and there are some paid ads, there
Instagram,
are
right?
unpaid ads.
I mean, it seems like this site would be perfect for Instagram.
There are some sales happening also on Instagram, so and there's a term called Instagram influencers. So they sell like I go to certain kind of niche, which is like, for example, a fashion blogger. I go to them, and if I go to some maternity kinds of influencers, those profiles who have followers more than 100k or maybe less than that, so I approach them and I can target, see your audience has similar kind of interest which products I am selling, so why don't we cooperate with each other, and I give you a certain amount of commissions or a fixed budget. So these things works.
So what about digital content? Well, digital products.
I didn't get you one.
I mean, you have mostly, I think your site was about physical products,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So have you thought about actually transitioning into digital products in the end?
You mean digital devices you're talking about?
No, digital products. I don't know, ebooks, some type of
No, I have not gone in that depth.
audio, video.
No, first, I thought about to go start with the fashion accessories and housing accessories, and let's see how is the responses. Okay, this is also just the beginning. Okay, I just developed this site in just 3 months. Okay, so now when I go through and I see the responses, okay, the people are even clicking or no, how till which page they are coming and which place they are closing down, whether the price is the issue or they are not liking my product. So based on that, I choose a different strategy.
Your site is just made for women.
Yeah, I would say majority women.
Yeah.
Majority women, yeah. And then there are some other things too which can be implemented, which requires a lot of time and research and effort and energy and everything. That is called paid on print on demand, which is called like if you see some events are coming, so you can publish certain t-shirts or hoodies based on that kind of event or theme, or any kind of phrases which looks interesting to someone. Which I told you, the buyer psychology for me, the sellers like me, is we have to understand the buyer psychology. For Amazon and AliExpress, their market is open. People, if you need something to buy, if you have a need of something, you will go to AliExpress and you will order something. But for me, as a seller, I have to sell your product. I have to create your desires. I have to see what is your interest and how can I hit you. So I would develop some products which might be possible of your interest, and I'll create the desires for you. So this can be the success point of entrepreneurs like me also, like if they want to sell their products in an initial stage with the lower strategy. You need to create the desires for your audience, because if you're looking for the need will go with the AliExpress and the major sellers who are already familiar, because my site is not trustable. I mean, if you go, you know who's desire pool, where the office is based, and authentic.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But even these policies, this I would say also about the, sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
But here the payment, like talking about the payment thing, the payment is accepted by PayPal. Okay, So the PayPal is very much flexible or supportive from both ways. Okay, if somebody pay to me through PayPal, and if I don't deliver the product to them, he can actually go to PayPal and he can say that this particular party was fraud, or he has not delivered the product to me, so the PayPal will block my funds too. So, and PayPal will actually check to me that what happened with this client, what happened, why I have not repaid the services or whatever thing, and then he can go back. So it's a both way, favorable from seller and buyer both. So if I am cheating with any customers or anything like that, then it would harm both ways. So there is a very less chances that these things will happen.
The reason why I asked you about digital products is because that would be more scalable for you.
But digital, you mean the physical products or digital services? Digital products as in again physical products, or how it is?
No, digital products would be something you can download or something you can stream.
Okay.
So it's more scalable for you.
Yeah.
But it takes the same amount of time to actually present them. Meaning it takes the same amount of time to create a website, takes the same amount of time to do the market research, takes the same amount of time.
Yeah, but
the logistics afterwards is totally easier.
Yeah, but I don't know like what kind of things that could be.
To be honest, I'm totally expecting India and China to get head over heels in the next 5 years into porn, because it's forbidden.
Yeah.
It's forbidden in China, it's forbidden in India. I mean, the country of the Kama Sutra, it's forbidden to produce porn. It's just crazy. And I guess now the millennials are already mature, right? So that is the generation that will change a lot of things. They are the people who are accustomed to the internet, they are accustomed to technology, they are accustomed to global.
So how it is connected to digital products?
To digital products?
Yeah.
No, in the sense that if you see a need or something that the market wants, but in a particular country the market doesn't provide it, it means it creates a business gap.
Yeah.
Right? It's a niche. And I'm expecting that China and India will get full blown into the erotic industry, simply because now what do? They just consume the content of the rest of the world.
Well.
And actually, I've seen a documentary about China having some weird. And I think Korea as well, but the China thing was more interesting. They had the web streaming services, and so the girl, she was making a living just streaming in China, and she wasn't just a regular girl. She dressed in some really tight fitting clothes where you can see the cleavage, right, and other things. So she was trying to get around the fact that she couldn't be nude on a webcam, right, we're working with her outfits and stuff like that, and she was making a full living out of that. That was her only job. And so the documentary people asked her, so what do you plan to do? She said, well, I'm planning to just do this. That's the whole career, just streaming on the webcam, because in China there's the demand. Well, probably in every country there's somewhat of demand, but in each country where there's an oppressive government in some area, and it's clear to see that the people want some things, right? It's just a matter of time where it just explode. That's what I mean, because it's sort of strange, right? America has Hollywood, and India has Bollywood, right? America has LA for porn, but India doesn't have any equivalent for that, right? And I think it was the same with China.
But I think these things have been happening in India as well. More, I don't know about the current situation, because from currently 4 years I'm not in India. Yeah. So, but yeah,
I would
people do access the data and porn. Even the government
Yeah,
blocks
but see, that's what I
people
mean.
do access.
People consume the content,
Yeah.
but most of it's not produced in the same country, which is ridiculous because most Germans consume German porn. Most Americans consume American porn.
Well, I don't know about the Indian porn industry.
Yeah, there is
Much.
no Indian porn industry, right?
No, there are a bit.
I've heard of some journals or magazines or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was also not a porn magazine, I would say.
Yeah, but some type
it's
of
like some type of adult. They sell it
erotic literature,
adult magazines,
something like
and it was used to be in a double meaning. Like you understand the phrases what they are talking about, but not much popular now.
Yeah, but I for sure know that there's no porn industry because I remember I was talking with an Indian guest.
Yeah.
He sort of, because we didn't talk about it, but he mentioned something that it's so prohibited and it's also. So then we just Googled, and we didn't find anything.
Well, there is no industry as such, but as far as I know,
there should be, right? There should be.
But there
are
are some
$1 billion industry in India. Let's be honest. There's more than 1.5 billion people, right?
Yeah.
So how did they get there? Of course, they did what every human being does.
To be honest, if you ask from my side, I wouldn't recommend it.
What do you mean?
I would simply deny that there should. You're saying there should be, but I said no, there should not be. It would
even though the people demand it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Which you said about the LA and the Hollywood has the porn industry, and I know it's a big industry, but India doesn't have. It's happening in India too, but not in a larger scale. Of course, I said it's not industry. Maybe some people shooted the video and they published on the internet, but it is not an industry.
Yeah, it's not an industry.
It's not industry.
Yeah.
It's not happening officially.
Yeah,
it
and
is,
you are saying that
yeah.
it's good that there's no industry.
Yes, I
Why?
would say that it would create. Again, say the Indian society is different, definitely than much different than the American society, and it will create lot of problems. Lot of crimes are possible. I'm telling you because I come from Indian background, so there could be some, because any girl in India, or of course in everywhere, is somehow related to someone. Okay,
sure.
And in India, even it is prohibited or it is not appreciated that you talk about sex with your other family members.
Yeah, see, but that's what I meant.
Yeah.
It's a generation thing.
Yeah, these things will continue if somebody try to change it.
Do you mean to say that those people who use Instagram every day, who use YouTube every day, they somehow will try to uphold the old traditions? Come on, man.
This is not see, I'm talking about. I don't completely deny porn. Okay.
What?
I do not completely deny porn.
You mean in a sense that it exists?
Yeah, it exists, or it should be open to everyone. Okay, in India, the government
it's a form of entertainment.
Yeah,
that is mostly consumed on the internet.
Yes. True. But the government has actually banned in India nowadays. The recent government has banned it. People do access it.
Yeah, of course. But can you imagine the government not banning it?
Yeah, the government was not banned before this government. It was open and accessible to everyone. Just you open the website and it's happening.
Wait a second, but when did they ban?
A few years back, 3 or 4 years back.
And before that, there was no industry still?
I'm talking about the websites.
Yeah, but I'm talking about producing porn in India. Officially as an industry.
No.
See, because it's prohibited.
Yeah,
right?
Possibly. Yeah.
But you can make films. You can make films in India. Just not with naked people in it.
Oh well, if you talk to me.
No. I mean, you can make cinema. I mean, there is Indian cinema.
No, here
you can produce movies.
I know. If I recall my memory, I'm diggling myself in when I was in India back in 10 years back. So there used to be industry too.
Yeah, I think so. In the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, but not in Bollywood, I would say.
No.
there are some other industries in India itself. India comes from different regions. So in the South industry, there is Hollywood, Tollywood, Tamil movies, Kerala movies. So they used to call like C grade films, A grade film, B grade film, and C grade film. They used to call it the blue films.
Blue?
Blue. Then the concept was blue film.
Why blue?
And it was I'll tell you why blue.
Okay.
And it used to be the term was very popular. I'm talking my college age, when I used to be in a 10th class or 8th class. The students used to talk about, do you have BF? BF, and that time even a very small clip of BF used to becomes in CDs. Okay, and BF was basically pronounced as blue film, and blue film was basically the screen was blue. It was color, but the layout was blue.
All right.
If BF means blue film, means the porn film.
So it was a regular porn film, but the blue filter was on them?
Blue filters, exactly. The blue filter was applied. So whenever there is a blue filter, it used to be a porn film.
Funny.
So there was supposed to be such industry, but I would say that gradually when the people got accessible of much of internet, these terms have gone, I would say. So you see some Indian movies names have come up. So this term used to be there, but gradually the people got access of internet so much, everybody got a smartphone, and then they got the access of some other websites, so their interest got decreased about these industries.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not about the consumption of the content. That's already a given. But it's about the production of the content, which is fascinating. That you have China and India together have almost half of the population of the world.
Yeah,
and no porn industry.
I would say, according to my observation, I know that if this government allows this will create certain problems in India.
It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine because I would guess India has already a lot of problems without it.
Well, every country has a problem.
Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing: if you look at the country that's that big and so diverse, I think India has unique problems. Because I mean, you have basically a one country where actually you could be probably at least 30 countries, right?
Not 30.
I mean, come on. Pakistan was actually India, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's a separate country. Why?
Yeah.
Why? What's the reason?
So there.
And Bangladesh also, right?
Yeah.
It was India. Now it's a separate country. Why?
It wasn't actually Bangladesh was actually Pakistan, East Pakistan, if you know.
Okay.
So when the Britishers left India in 1947, so India was basically divided into two countries, and that thing was happened only basis of religion, because certain amount of people claim that based on religion they want one different country, their own nation.
Okay.
So the one part was Pakistan, which is called West Pakistan, which is now in current world this is Pakistan, and the other part was East Pakistan. So geographically it was in between there was India. So for them to communicate, they had to either cross the Indian land or they used to fly from the India. But there used to be some problems because of that. India was used to have some issues. There was some internal threats because of that. So India helped East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, to get the freedom from Pakistan.
Okay.
It was in 1971, if I'm not wrong. So India helped, and Bangladesh got the freedom with the help of India. So that day the new country was emerged, which was originated actually in 1947.
Yeah.
So yes, if you combine all these three countries, of course India could be one of the big country in the Asia, I would say. No, of course Russia was one of the biggest.
Yeah.
But if I would say, if these all three countries would have been together, there would have been less problems which exist nowadays. Because to be honest, in the current phase of time, one of the major problem which I could highlight, I don't know what is your information and your sources which you think that India has problem, but I would say more today about the mentality and religious issues still exist a bit, I would say. So this is the major issue, and based on that, the division was happened, India and Pakistan. So people started, Pakistan media say something wrong about Indian media says about wrong about Pakistan media. The people start getting hating each other, and the hate getting
Yeah,
increased. That's
what I meant.
And that's why there were 4 wars already happened because of one state in India, which also exists in Pakistan. Because when the India and Pakistan was one of the major issue with the India and Pakistan is with the Kashmir, which is one of the state in the northern part of India, which when the Britishers left, they did not decide the future of that state, and the state king decided that they will be an individual country. They didn't merge with either with India and either with the Pakistan. But when sooner the Britishers left, the Pakistan people started coming into the Kashmir, and they started capturing the lands and so on, which media says, I mean the official information says. So then the king asked the help of Indian government, Indian Prime Minister, that please help us, that these people are coming. So Indian government said, why should we help you just because you're a neighbor? What official hands we can cooperate with you? So then he promised that Kashmir will be merged with India. He wrote one night he wrote a letter with some constitution paper and all, that I give authority to Indian force to come on the land and to fight basically with us. But till that time there was much of land which was captured by Pakistan. And then the Indian military came, and then they had a big fight in 1948, and I think so. But from that day, the certain part of called, which is captured by Pakistan called that land as Azad Kashmir. Azad means free. Free Kashmir. And the Indian who had captured the land, they called it Indian occupied Kashmir. Okay, and which part already India has, that is already Indian Kashmir, and which part which Pakistan has, which they call as free Kashmir, Azad Kashmir, India calls that Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So there is a big conflict with this state. Okay, all wars have happened only because of this state. Okay, and the major difference between this state is the religion comes up, because the resident are Muslims, so that the Pakistan claims that the division happened based on the religion issues, because for the Muslims there was supposed to be a new country. So because this state has the 90% of Muslims, this state ideally should join Pakistan. But India said no, it was because the king authorized officially us, so it was supposed to be the part of India.
That's what I actually meant. That India has a lot of old-time traditional political and religious structures, and also social hierarchy, which is just in the 21st century is just ridiculous. Why would you have the need to have those untouchables and the caste system? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I do completely agree, because of this caste system is also one of the internal problem of India, which I completely hate.
And I think this will change everything.
Yeah,
just a matter of time.
Because because of caste, there are so many politics is happening. Because in the Hindus, they have 5 different basic, they call it the 5 levels, I would say in English. That if you belong to certain point of caste, you are from the top, then you have gone, and you have gone.
It probably
and then
was.
this depends. This signifies you what kind of profession you are into.
Yeah.
For example, you have been doing some dirty works on cleaning muds and
Here's the
sheets
thing,
and
it
all.
used to
So
be the case all over the world.
all of okay.
Right? I mean, in Europe, you also almost had the same exact thing, right?
Okay.
But it was called the medieval times, right? For a reason.
Yeah,
It's way past. It's way behind us,
I
right?
can understand.
That's what I mean. It's so interesting to see that there are many parts of the world where people have modern day technology, access to all the information of the world, and still they choose to live in a structure that's basically from the Middle Ages, right? And I
Yeah.
think it's just a matter of time, because I've heard about this in India, China, Muslim countries, that it's sort of a facade almost. Many times it's still officially we do this and that, and we don't do this and that. Unofficially, we live like Western Europeans.
Okay, talking about the porn industry which you were talking about, I have one question from my side. You think which we disagreed on, that you say
that you
Yeah,
said
I
you
disagreed.
you don't need them. It
Yeah.
would cause problems.
yeah. So how do you think, if that industry exists today in India, this porn industry which you said that there is a need, how it would help someone as an industry to make money, or someone individual, how it would benefit? Can you give me some positive points? How it
Yes, well,
how benefit?
Yeah, you just need to see. You know Hugh Hefner? Do you know Hugh Hefner, the founder of Playboy?
Oh no, okay.
But you know the brand Playboy?
I know I've seen in the pictures, like Playboy, the magazine, right?
Yeah, the magazine.
Yeah.
So the founder of Playboy is Hugh Hefner,
Okay.
right? He did that, and I think in the 1950s.
Okay.
It was a revolution back then. He risked being trialed in court,
Okay.
because before that, pictures of women were mostly sort of pin-up girls, right? They were all clothed, and it was sort of men's magazines like Esquire, but it was more like a sort of a gentleman's magazine, right? He changed that, and after him came a bigger sort of revolutionary, which was Larry Flint with Hustler magazine. But here's the thing, they used basically nude women as the selling point. That is the main attraction point. That's why people flock to their magazine. But what they actually did was use that attention to navigate social change and social progress. And believe it or not, if it hadn't been for Playboy and Hustler magazine, you probably wouldn't have the America with its freedom of speech and freedom of press as it is today, because they actually were the ones who changed the industry so much that they got sued. They had to put their almost whole life on the line in the court, and won in court. Right, and so they made precedents. They changed. They actually made social revolutions, in a sense, because it all Playboy was in the midst of the civil, what's it called? The Martin Luther King days, the Rosa Parks days. During those days, where the civil unrest and the oppression against minorities were still everyday occurrences, he helped to change that, right? So even though he sort of used the basic instinct of reproduction to attract attention and money to his business, he used that attention and to actually spread social change and progress. And in 50 years time, he changed the society in a way that nobody's really questioning freedom of speech anymore. Nobody's questioning any social hierarchy anymore. Right? People are free to do the things that they want to do, to pursue their happiness on their own terms, and they did that, which is sort of contrary to what you would have believed, right? In a sense, you would expect that they just sell some pornographic pictures and that's about it. But what they used to do is they would issue a magazine, for instance, a Playboy magazine, right? It had a centerfold, which would be a nice-looking woman. In between the papers, they had different editorial stories, different viewpoints. They had several authors that were sort of very, very progressive, right? So they wrote stories, people read them, and that's how they actually, in 50 years' time, they changed the whole American society, basically the whole Western society.
So what you mean to say that it will change the society if it happens?
It will allow you to equalize the society, because whenever you have oppressive social hierarchies, it means that somebody is benefiting from the status quo. And usually,
I agree, I understand.
Usually, it's not the majority.
I understood what you mean to say, but coming from the same background, from Indian background, I completely am confident about it. If this happens, people will go more wild. Because
what do you mean by wild?
Wild means, see, already there are so many rapes happening in India.
Yeah, but because...
And when the rapists were interviewed, what happened to you? What made you to do this? So he was basically influenced by porn.
That's usually, you know what usually is the case? That they have a high chance of not getting caught. Because it happens all over the world. It's not just India. Violence against minorities and violence against women occurs in every social situation where there's a low risk of repercussions. It happens all over the world. It's not just India. It's Middle East. It's Africa. It's South America. It's many of the places you would say that people are either in developing countries, or the people are just on a sort of a new territory when it comes to the progress of political democracy, because many of those countries were ruled by dictators, authoritarians, kings, what have you, right? You don't have, many of the countries don't have the history of political discourse, of elections, of all those civil liberties. This just doesn't. So if there is such an oppressive regime, men in general tend to be crazy, right? It's just that how much can your craziness be influenced by other forces, right? If you go out to the street in Riga and do some crime, it's a fair amount. It's a fair chance that you will get caught, right? But if you would be in the jungle and you would do the same crime, it's pretty much not a risk to get caught. So yeah, violence is, it's almost like almost like a law or a principle.
So what do you mean,
the occurrence of violence is proportionate to the risk of getting punishment.
So one of the reason you are saying like one of the reason could be the not getting caught. They are happening this.
Yeah, because that's usually when they profile criminals. Also in Western society, when they profile criminals, many of those criminals are actually repeat offenders. It's just that they got caught in one of the.
I would say I don't not say that I completely disagree with you, but talking about the Indian perspective, if something happened to a girl, a rape happened to a girl, he would actually hide this. She would actually hide this. She will not publish it actually, because if something goes wrong and she goes to the police and she asks police to see, this person did this to me, she would not actually want it. In some of the cases, I would say, because it will impact her future and she will not get married and so on and so on. There are so many internally.
You basically made my point.
Yeah, I agree that these things are happening, that some girls are hiding these things. Okay, that they are not actually I would say I can't say exactly number of percentage how much it is, but it exists in some societies as well. But now when the some people showed their bravery and then they came out in media and then they said something, they didn't care about like what is going to happen in the future, but they must get the guilty should get the punishment, and then she did the bravery because then it is a in a family in Indian families, of course, if any girl is being raped, it is a very bad bad impact seen as on a girl. It has been seen, the society sees like this, like now she will not get married with a good guy or something like that. It's been seen, the society is still very much developed, but I know the mentality of the people who have never gone out of India, who have not seen the world, still exists.
Yeah, but that's what I meant when I said.
I understood. That's why I said I a little bit agree with you on this factor.
So that's what I meant by having that Hugh Hefner type of person in a society. A society can drastically change. Believe it or not, I mean, you would find it fascinating. I'll give you at least a sort of suggestion, right, to look up, because I don't remember how it was called, but it was a documentary because Hugh Hefner died I think a year or two ago, right? So they made a documentary about his life and his work, and so yeah, it's definitely not what you expect. If you hear somebody who's selling naked women, right, he did that as a pioneer, right? But what he actually caused with that was a social revolution. Because well,
I would say
because remember that was the time when black people were actually arrested and also beaten just because they were black.
Well, I would say this could be possibly, but there would be some other ways to develop.
It's always because here's the thing: why do rapes occur? Many times because somebody is not responsive to a person's affection.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the problem. The urge for a man who cannot satisfy his urge, right? And
accessibility.
Yeah. And so that's the reason why I think it was a sociological study, but basically what they did was they compiled the data about American states, and what they found was that the states who were most against pornography, prostitution, who really condoned, right?
Yeah, condemned
the activities, had the biggest search for search numbers for those things and consumption of
talking about
pornography.
This, talking about this particular thing, if you search on Google, like which is in the world is the largest porn searched category, then Pakistan name will come up.
Pakistan?
Yeah, I have seen these results. So even I read this, I was surprised. Like people are consuming this much porn in Pakistan. I was surprised.
Yeah, so yeah, basically the same idea.
They are searching. They are searching. The searches are happening so much in Pakistan as well.
Yeah. So the basic idea is there's the official version and there's the real life version, right? And so yeah, when they did that, it clearly shows that American society is divided between something that's the politically established, so we value family tradition and all those things, right? But then they just go on the internet and search for, I don't know, big black cocks, something like that, right? It's ridiculous. And funny enough, those states where they had the most liberal politics had the lowest search results for pornography and other things.
Yeah, it is actually, physics, or how it is, how I don't know in
it's
Hindi
social
terms,
physics,
like
for sure.
The more thing you push or you hide something, people will try. Oh, what are you hiding? If something you are,
it's the forbidden fruit.
Yeah. Even it's been said like one of the movie was actually banned by Indian government. It was a movie about a Indian queen, and the movie got a lot of controversies.
Really?
Because the people who were related to that kind of women, they contributed like, we don't want this queen to be shooted in the movies. There was nothing wrong with pornography, something like that. When they said we respect our older generation, we don't want Indian Bollywood cinema to picturize it. So then there was a lot of fights. The director were heated, and there was so many fights and things happened. But actually, what happened? End of the day, it got a lot of publicity because people got interested. What's happening? Why they are fighting?
Yeah, but that is
what is so wrong with you? So the more people saw the movies.
That's the same Trump effect. Do you remember when he was running for president in America?
Yeah.
They said that he got, I think they said he got around 4 billion worth of news time, free news time, just because the media was reporting on him, what he did, and they were actually mocking him, right? They were actually criticizing him. But basically, they said afterwards that he got around, I think, $4 billion worth of free publicity.
And one of his in the ads campaign, which idea which he marketed himself was the Muslim targeting thing, because the same Indian government with the current existing prime minister, I would say, or his parties workers have the same agenda, which is the Hindu-Muslim conflict, talking about something Hindu and Muslim, and then
I'm not sure if he said anything against Muslims, but he said against immigrants.
Not saying about the
immigrants.
Yeah, but in the immigrants with some in Muslim countries, like in the Syria and so on.
But also Mexican.
Yeah. Mexico was, of course, definitely one of the factors, and also
because his point was
he had
simple.
said something. If I remember, he would ban every single Muslim to come to United States. Something like some statement was like that.
I think,
or also about some certain nationalities to be banned.
Yeah, he said about specific nationalities.
Yeah,
because he didn't want to have some Syrians or something out of those destabilized countries. Yeah, but his whole point was national security is being threatened by people who don't have the same interests, right? If you come to America, you should have the same interests in a society than Americans do, right? Which would be freedom of speech, of work, lots of things, right? But a usually typical Muslim family, if it's really orthodox, won't have that, that's for sure. And when it comes to those
even in talking about, you said Muslim family, but in India still, not still, even Hindu families, okay, these things, sex and all these things will not get talked about for sure.
Yeah, well, it's not talked about in Western society as well. It's not like grandmother and grandchildren are talking about screwing around. But it's more of a question of whether or not it's politically punished. Because socially, everybody is awkward. No matter where you go, socially, everybody's awkward. If you're not the biggest, the strongest, the most beautiful, in some respects you will be awkward socially. That's just the human nature of things. What do you do with awkwardness is a matter of society. Does the society give you the choice, the freedom and the options to actually pursue your interests? Or maybe you're not the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, but maybe you can be a movie director like Spielberg, right? You have the choice either to use your muscle or your brain, in a sense. But if you have a society that's built around hundreds of years of just repeated the same and the same. So what do you expect? That of course many people will fall out of the equation, because the system was not meant for 1.5 billion people. It was used and traditionally originated from the times where you probably have 10 million in India, right? It's just too much. It's too much. It's too rigid of a system, and I think that's what we see with the internet and with the smartphones. That people, the new generation, who's used to just scrolling around, searching the internet, seeing the world through their telephone or PC screen. It's just you won't hold them back. It's just impossible. And of course, I would guess it takes a little bit more time in India than in, for instance, California, to do some liberating activity, right? But I think it's just a matter of time. Because look, if you look back 60 years ago, America was fundamentally racist, fundamentally socially divided, and fundamentally injustice was a regular occurrence, right? Nowadays, they are complaining if their coffee is too hot, right? It's just it's a totally different level of problem, right? Because Obama was the first black president, right? And now it's like America has to invent their own problems because they are so affluent in many respects. It seems like they have to make up something just to get annoyed with it, because they don't have real life problems anymore. You get an Uber, you have all your conveniences at your disposal through your phone. Amazon delivers on 1 day notice, right? It's just it's almost like the future. And we go back, let's say, to Europe. We go back to Russia, we go back to Asia, and we still see, oh yeah, we have some years to go, right?
In certain facts, yeah, I would say things still exist.
Would you be here if it wasn't, if the internet wouldn't exist?
It's a difficult question, actually. How would I know? Talking about from my personal observation, I would have always liked traveling and exploring places, understanding people, their mindsets and their lifestyle. What do they eat? How do they spend their life, and so on. So probably yes. If you talk about me, even if there would not be an internet, I would have been traveling around with whatever ways it would have been possible. So yes, I would say from my point of view, it would have been. And so talking about different habits, some people in the Middle East countries, if you talk about the Saudi Arabia lifestyle, they are dead between 2 to 5. Dead means 2 to 5. You call any Saudis or any offices between 2 to 5, everything is closed down. Everybody sleeps.
Really?
So if you call somebody at 2 or 3 o'clock, they will say, oh, what are you saying? I'm sleeping.
Why?
It's a sleeping time for them. So it's natural for them.
During the day?
Yeah, during the day, 2 to 5.
Sounds like Spanish with siestas.
Siesta, exactly. When I went to Spain, I was this is siesta time. Oh, siesta, what is siesta? Oh, the sleeping time. Oh, in the afternoon? Yeah, we sleep in the afternoon too.
So what do they do after 5?
So from 5 o'clock, so all the stores will open again till 5, and then it will go to 12. And even the officials.
That sounds ridiculous. I'm used to the Eastern European way. From morning till late till 9, and better if it's 24 hours.
No, but I would say it has both ways. It depends on the market. Because, for example, day before yesterday, I was in the mall. So the officers actually closed down the entire mall at 9 o'clock. Okay. Basically, the time segment is 9 o'clock. Everything is closed down based on the weather condition, probably, because in the winter it will go dark and the snow will come. There will be no market. People will not come up, so the malls get closed. Everybody is in their home.
Yeah, it's night time.
It is according to this circumstance and this kind of world, this kind of environment. But there, in Asian countries, people want to be more. People will wake up till more late night. So if you have to wake up till late night, you should maintain your sleep in the daytime. So basically, if you suppose if I'm sleeping in the afternoon, I'll not get sleep early. I will get sleepy by around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Average in India, I would say living in the cities or in the towns, they will sleep definitely after 12 or 12:30 or 1 o'clock. So how do they maintain their sleeps? They sleep in the daytime for 1 hour or 2 hours. Even one of the two Indian states, majority of the people, they sleep in the afternoon for
Yeah.
1 hour or 30 minutes or so. So if they maintain their sleep so that they wake up till the late night. So this depends on the where the regions and till what time the market is there.
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't dispute that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that what's the excuse when it comes to the 21st century? I mean, with all the technology, you don't need to have that same type of regimen.
Yeah, I mean, not completely. I would say even in Saudi Arabia, it is not like everything is closed.
Mhm.
No, because in the service industry and so on, they have shifts.
Mhm.
But yeah, the majority staffs will go. Like for me, in where I was working, we had two shifts. So one shift was from 9 to 1,
Mhm.
and from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock you go for the lunch, and 2 o'clock you come back, and then you work for another 4 hours, and 6:30 you are free to go. But then there will be another shift who will again come at the same time. 9 he will work till 2, and from 2 he will go, and then he will come back at 5,
Mhm.
and then he will work till 8:30.
And in total, is it 8 hours?
Totally it is 8 hours. It is equally divided. The difference was,
Yeah.
so it's fair to everyone who wants to have a nap in the afternoon, or somebody wants to go early home. So it depends. It's flexible. Even the banks and all are working accordingly to that.
Sounds more productive if you just work 4 or 5 hours straight and that's it,
Yeah, exactly.
and make those the shifts. And that's it.
I usually used to take afternoon shift, because I will go and I'll have my lunch, and then I will sleep, and when I sleep and when then I get up, then I'm again charged.
Mhm.
So for me it's basically a new day. I was
Yeah,
in the same
yeah.
day, it used to be a new day sometime. So
Yeah.
I can work more productive again, because having just 1 hour break is like 10 minutes. Even though if I'm near to my home, minimum would be 10 minutes drive
Mhm.
from my office to home. Then if I go and have my lunch and have the rest of 10 minutes and then immediately come back, so 1 hour is not sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being was the afternoon shift was quite relaxed. Have your lunch, spend some time with your families and on the phone, and also.
What's your plan after the studies?
I prefer to be here, and I hope I'll continue to stay. Let's see how life takes me.
Well, I mean, if you like it here, why shouldn't you stay?
Well, yeah, there are some factors like the immigration things and our job searches.
Well,
and
after
all,
the
yeah.
studies, you can just get a working permit, right?
Yeah, the immigration grants very less, but I'm trying to get it. Let's see how it works. I'll update you accordingly.
What do you mean?
I mean, because of the
Because
language.
there's definitely, I mean, if you come to Latvia to get an education,
Mhm.
after you finish the education,
Mm.
it would be silly not to allow you to work in that
The government
industry.
immigration is not allowing that like that way. They're saying like you can't complete your studies and go back.
Really?
Majority is happening. I would hardly say, I don't know any of my previous student who completed their study and then they stayed back. I mean, they would go to some other European countries or some other else. And from some other people, I heard like, no, you will not get the work permit. It's very difficult. The language barrier is so much. You will not, first of all, get the job. And I don't know. So
Well,
there
but-
are some negative impressions. But as far as considering me, I have personally never received any negative comments in terms of my employment and my employers, because even for me, plus point was I was already familiar with the industries. When I went for the internship during my universities, and I went to some professional companies.
Hmm?
One of them was just behind your building. It was Baltic Travel Group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I went to them, they highly will, okay, you are already familiar with the travel and tourism. You have been working in India as well as in Middle East countries. So you know, we are not here to teach you. I mean, nobody wants you to leave your work and then I teach you something. Actually, the internship is like you're learning something, and some supervisor has to assist you with the existing work environment. But for me, it was concept were clear. What is the destination, how the packages has been designed, how the costing you have to calculate, what are the factors you need to mention in your email etiquettes and so on. So I was a bit of familiar, so they recognized me and I was easily hired, I would say, as an intern student or get the place to sit. But for other students, they were very new. So when you are new, then you get some problems. Like, okay, it is fair with everybody. It doesn't depends on any country. Okay, this country is not familiar with this, friendly with these people in terms of getting job. It depends how passionately you are approaching and how is your approach. So for me, if you talk about my personal observation, my approach and my recognition was always recognized with the employers, and I have positive approach so far, positive results so far.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you are a specialist in your industry and you have actually the option to already sort of figure out where you could work, then after your studying permit,
it possibly should work. Let's see how it goes.
Because I don't know the details, but I would imagine that's the logic behind it, that you can actually get a specialist, getting educated, and then he's working actually in this economy. Right? He's bringing his expertise.
Exactly. And actually they also want the students to start their own business and develop some entrepreneurial.
That's what I'm thinking of. That you should actually be more of a online entrepreneur. At least it seems to me that you would be well suited.
Actually, that's why I wanted to learn first of all myself. That's why I developed this website. But I want to finish first of all this my thesis, and then I'm free from the education mindset. Then I can focus my own, because I'm also having my office responsibilities, studies responsibilities, and the e-commerce thing. Then I have to go and cook for myself. And then there are so many things which comes around. So let's not merge all these things together.
So you are finishing in November?
Hopefully, in November.
And then you might have news in next year?
News for the...
I mean, what's coming next?
Yeah, in the new year. In December, possibly.
Cool. So keep me updated. Keep me updated.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Shall we finish?
Update you with what happened with my couchsurfing research.
I'll
definitely let you know.
That seems fairly interesting.
How did you find this topic? Was that important to be researched? And how did you like the concept and idea?
Couchsurfing, you mean?
No, my idea about this research.
Well, I don't know whether or not you were defining previously some type of problem. If you highlighted some issues that you... So I don't know your motivation for researching this topic. So it's difficult for me to evaluate whether or not those questions are sort of related.
The motivation was, I told you in the beginning, the motivation was, I was reading very beginning, I was reading some references on Latvian host. And I read some I don't have that bookmarks, but I read some negative comments on certain host profiles. I don't remember exactly who was that person. Maybe if I need to again search it, then I'll find it. So I thought, okay, can we search according to this? Can we do a survey and ask the host member that is happening with everyone, or this was only with this incident happened with only with this guy? Can we create such kind of research? So this was the overall motivation from that references, negative references, I would say.
So I somehow thought that you might define some type of problem that needs to be solved.
So that was the idea was, what is the problem? Is it like the one problem I said, like the people are commenting the guest home is not cleanliness. So is the cleanliness is the problem? That's why you are giving a negative comment? Or is the behavior is not friendly? Or are the Latvians very reserved? Or what is the problem is happening? So this was the main idea, to know from them. Because there are some comments too, like there's some people commented more friendliness would be nicer. I mean, they had observed, there were like 6-7 people commented like more friendliness would be nice. Like they find somehow that the Latvians were not friendly.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, because it seems to me that your topic is not really couchsurfing. Your topic is accommodation by Latvian private citizens, or something like according to those lines.
Or platform, using couchsurfing platform, I would say,
Well, I mean, couchsurfing is just one of them, right? You can actually incorporate Airbnb as well, because it's the same
No, but
topic.
Airbnb includes money. So if Airbnb
Yeah, but it doesn't really
includes,
change the parties.
no, but there the Airbnb responsibility becomes to provide this.
Yeah, but remember, if I would have been, I didn't know about Airbnb in 2013,
Okay.
right? If I would have known, I wouldn't have registered on couchsurfing.
Okay.
It's totally just a coincidence. And afterwards, I just heard about Airbnb as a concept, right? Because more people they're more willing to part with a little bit of the money, and then they get their fair share of some amenities, right? It's just that the biggest interest in people couchsurfing and also using Airbnb is the same. They want to save money. That's all there is. There's no literal difference between a couchsurfer and an Airbnb guest. Both of them.
Airbnb basically they sell the property, right? They rent the property, right?
Yeah, it's a rental.
Yeah.
It's a rental. But the same principle, the same motivation for the people who actually use the service is the same. They want to save up money. Because it doesn't matter if it's a couchsurfer or Airbnb guest. They don't have the money for a hotel, or they don't want to spend the money for a hotel.
But this is with the person coming from the, I would say this is one of the factors. But another could be person who is coming through couchsurfing who would be actually interested in person, knowing the person, knowing their cultures.
Maybe 5%.
Really?
Maybe 5%.
Okay.
I'm telling you, at least 95% of couchsurfers is because of the money. Because of the money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I said actually I should have included this particular question.
Well, I mean, you can note it in separately, but yes, it's just a factor of money. People want to travel as cheaply as possible.
Okay.
And talking about issues, the only recurring issue I have had with couchsurfers was that they stole toilet paper like crazy. And
because they wanted to save money.
Yeah. Because toilet paper is something that's useful, right, during your travels. So and it was getting sometimes so absurd that I had a fresh opened package, right, with 8 rolls in the morning, and I come back and I have only 4, right? So and again, it's not about the mentality because or the nationality in general, because it was from different countries, people from different areas of the world. It's just the same need, save money, to travel as cheap as possible. So they hitchhike, right? So they try to stay in couchsurfing, and
No, but what I used to understand before this question, like which also I have included in my questions too in the second one, like being you as a host, I think that you are representing as a Latvian society, like you are having a identity of Latvia. So somebody is coming to Latvia and see naturally how you live, what do you eat, how do you live, and how do you do your daily stuff. If I have to experience, that's why I will come to you. If I don't have any interest to know exactly Latvian lifestyle, I'll go simply stay in a hotel and see the places and go back. Why would I come to you?
Because that's expensive.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that those people who come as couch surfers that they don't like to talk or experience the culture or exchange, but the sole reason why they're all just on couch surfing in general is because they want to save money. They don't have enough money. That's it. If they would have 10,000 euros, they would stay in the hotel and maybe go out to the bar.
But if I consider your point of view, then do you think that all of your guests were the very money conscious?
Yes, absolutely.
But I have seen some rich people too who are couch surfing.
Don't get me wrong. That's why I said 5% are the ones who actually could easily stay at a hotel. But those usually are sole travelers. I mean, they travel alone, So they want to have some company, right? And couchsurfing provides you a sense of community, company, and experiences, right? That's the site, that's the forum, that's the platform. But when it comes to just what's your average, just throw against the wall, what's your average couch surfer? It's just every penny counts.
So your hosts are mainly solo or couples or
Oh, it's just a random bunch. I would say 50-50, probably. Yeah, because
okay.
there are not many lone travelers, but
Okay.
there's definitely a bunch.
And this is not related to my thesis question. I'm just asking to general knowledge, like which nationality do you find is more money conscious or saving money? We call it miser in English.
Well,
Did you find
yeah, if
observe?
you ask me, it's more economically related. Mostly neighboring countries who have a less developed economy. I mean, I've rarely had Americans, for instance, as surfers.
Okay.
Rarely. And I remember I had the last, or maybe not the last, but one of the last Americans who I had. I was talking with him about average salaries, about the expense of everyday living, and he said, well, at that time, he said, if you have an annual income of less than, I think he was saying $30,000, you are considered almost on the poverty line, right? And I told him at that time, dude, if I would have $30,000 a year, I would be top class, upper middle class at worst, right, in Latvia. Because I told him the average salary at that time was sort of like $500 a month, right, which was a decent salary in Latvia, right? And he's talking about $30,000 get you of the poverty line, right? And at that time, gas was almost 4 times more expensive in Latvia than in America. Because we compared the prices for 1 liter and for them in gallons.
Yeah.
So we converted them. So yeah, it's more expensive here, and you get 4 or 5 times less money here, right? And he wasn't complaining, but he was definitely one of those types who could have easily stayed in a hotel, right? But he was a lone traveler. He was very friendly. He was all really interested in the culture. But yeah, out of Americans, I only remember him as that type of guest. And yeah, usually the guests are from Eastern Europe, Asia, you name it. Usually some poor student, right? It's just you don't have much money, but you have your study vacation, or you have a summer you would like to spend traveling. So yeah, why not hitchhike across the world?
Okay, and another question. Do you think that you would not, according to your experience, you would not like to host someone from certain nationalities?
No,
Nothing like that.
I haven't. Well, but think about it this way: I've not seen probably at least half of the world. So how do they travel? I don't know. Probably they don't travel as much. I'm guessing Nigerians don't hitchhike that much. Right?
No, because some people made some observation based on, okay, I see some kind of habits in certain nationalities which I don't like. So I asked from that point of maybe did you observe
Well, when
something?
it comes to that,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I would definitely be more. Judging from my recent Airbnb experience, I would be definitely more cautious with an older couple from India. That's for sure. Because I didn't recognize it then, but when they arrived, they were, I think, basically 24 hours here, right? Not that much. But the woman was always cooking. I mean, the kitchen was stinking. It was messy. I had never seen anything like it. Just constantly using the kitchen, constantly, just ridiculous. And then I read the reference for the review from the previous host. He was complaining about the same things, because yeah, so I just told him afterwards, dude, this is not a way to travel for you. I'm telling you, because he was an older gentleman. He was fairly polite, right? But yeah, so this is not the way to travel for you. I was telling him, this is not the way to travel for you. Because usually, well, an ideal guest when it comes to Airbnb would be somebody who arrives late, leaves early, right, and usually is just staying during he sleeps right here. Because usually arrive, leave your luggage, go out sightseeing, come back, sleep, and off you go. That's the ideal paying customer, right? And couch surfers usually do the same in general. They just arrive to leave their bags and to have a place to sleep, and otherwise they just roam around the city. But when it comes to nationalities, haven't met a constant certain nationality that I would say, oh, there's a stereotype. I should be aware. I haven't met them. Oh, except, well, when it comes to, I guess I could say, even though I don't have any negative attitudes towards no nationality, the least I would like to host would be probably from Spain and Italy, South Italy, because they are crazy people. In general, I mean, I remember Spanish people arriving here and complaining that I didn't meet them. And I told them, do you expect me to meet everybody personally? As in some president coming in or what?
No, he came.
Yeah, he arrived and I wasn't there.
Okay.
Right. So, and he complained that I didn't.
But later you met him, right? Later you met him or no?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay.
But I was out. I mean, working.
Okay.
Right. But I arranged everything that they can arrive
at
that time when they need it. And afterwards he was complaining that I didn't take the time to meet him. And specifically just to meet him, right? And I was so, what's that type of attitude, right? And yeah, I mean.
But you had a talk with him for a certain minutes?
For a brief moment, yes.
Okay.
For a brief moment, but I told him, dude, it's not like I'm your some type of presidential reception over here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely seen with Spanish people that they expect personal personal service almost, right, which is fairly ridiculous, it seems to me. But I guess they are used to having personal personal service or personal contact in general, right, which is weird to me, because I view all the stays I try to view them from the point of view of the guest, right? And so yeah, I probably after 3 questions from the guest, I can probably recognize so what's his main intent, what they are looking for in their stay and stuff like that, right? But yeah, when it comes to the least likelihood of liking a guest would be definitely from Spain and from Italy, South Italy. Which is not to say that I don't like those people, but yeah, the risk is definitely higher. The risk is definitely higher.
Alright, good.
So, what do you do now?
I have actually one question.
Yeah.
It is not related to couch surfing and all. It is actually related to Latvia. I have seen, I mean, I want to understand how the society works here, because in India it's definitely far way opposite in terms of married life and society and living standards and so on. My question is, like, I have seen a lot of single mother who have 2 babies, 3 babies, okay, but when I asked, like, how's your husband? Oh, she is not living with anyone. And this is not the case of 1 or 2. I've seen so many women. So is it some majority divorced, or maybe he left, we were not officially married, so there is no case of divorce also. So
Well,
some cases she was not even married. She
yeah,
just
living
had
separately.
baby.
Yeah.
Living separately, she had a baby. Then after that, some moment she just disappeared, or we had some fight,
Hmm?
and then he just left. So I want to understand how the society is working. Like I've seen some happy couples too, but I've seen some single women too. Like how this is happening and why this happens.
Well, because we don't have any restraints. I mean, the biggest restraint for somebody to be single would be maybe their parents um, complaining a little bit, right? But there's no repercussions. I mean, when you ask me, I guess probably more than 2/3 of my friends and acquaintances come from families where they don't have both parents, that they divorced
Yeah.
or lived separately. Yeah, I mean, it's not that uncommon to find also just stable marriages, but many times when you see stable marriages, you have to think that maybe it's just because of some material financial needs. You know, maybe the one side is more dependent on
But
the
do
other
you
side.
see this as a problem?
Me?
Yeah. Do you see this
Not
if for a
really.
child, if child is 4 years old, think from the child perspective. Okay, child
Not
is 4 years
really.
old
Look.
and he doesn't see his
No,
parents
look, because
together.
look, my parents are still together, right?
Okay.
But I was telling them already 10 years ago, you should have separated a long time ago, right?
Mhm.
But they stayed together basically because it's more convenient,
Mhm.
right? And they themselves come from divorced families,
Mhm.
both of them.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah. So I would say because they know the problems, which if they would have divorced, so they
I
didn't want it to
guess
have this problem
you
in
can
their
you
life.
can make that argument. Yes, you
Yeah.
can make that argument. That might be one of the reasons. Yes.
Yeah. So I see this as a, I mean, people should be more responsible, or they should understand that how a child, if at least if you are not sure about for your family, at least they should not make destroy the future of a child.
I guess you can relate to that in a sort of a traditional way, because it definitely is more favorable if they have both sort of roles present in their lives. But when it comes to the people I know who come from divorced families, it's not really a big problem for them. Not really. I mean, some of them do have the contact with the other father or mother, let's say. Some of them don't. Both scenarios, yeah, pretty fine people. Because here's the thing: the difference between the need for a stable family in let's say nowadays than it was in 150 years ago maybe is a matter of economics. I mean, most of the time, if you have a divorced mother of let's say 2 children, 150 years ago she wouldn't be able to provide for herself probably. It was too physically demanding to raise children and also get enough money or resources, right? Nowadays, it's not really the case. Nowadays, it's more of a, if you ask me, it's more of a symptom of how people could communicate better, or it's a symptom of how people cannot communicate or cannot get over themselves in many respects, that they feel sort of threatened or disrespected.
If you yeah, if you
Because
ask,
it used to be the case that some couples just, yeah, they had arguments, they fought with each other, but they
Exactly.
still
exactly, this is the reason why if you compare the marriages in India, and they are still go for a longer time comparatively to European countries, which I have personally observed, that if suppose there are any fights between a couple, they would sacrifice. Okay, they would tolerate. They would be they would not be intolerant. Suppose.
You know, you
Yeah.
want to know my observation? I think in general, Indian people are less aggressive, physically aggressive. I think with words they are pretty aggressive, but physically aggressive. At least it seems to me. Whereas
They are more aggressive or less aggressive?
less aggressive.
Okay.
It seems to me. Not in a collective sense. In a
Mhm.
collective sense, Indian people can go crazy. but at least what I've seen from Live Leak.
Well, I would say they are physically aggressive too. It used to be in an older time actually more physically aggressive. Not now much because people are more educated now, and they know their rights. That and government is also, they have taught the more awareness. The more digitalization came, the more awareness came. So people know their rights. The girls knows their rights. If you hit something, if a couple is hit by anyone, then she knows the rights. So yeah, I would say less aggressive, but yeah, more tolerant they are.
Yeah, that's
But
what
here the
that's what I
problem
mean.
is like, if suppose something I don't like about you tonight, then tomorrow, okay, tata, bye bye.
Hmm?
If suppose something happened between a couple over a night, okay, I didn't like this thing, I don't like this your attitude, you don't recover it from this, okay, next time go, bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be the one of the reason.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
from the why for me it looks a big problem, because I see from a child perspective, when his mind is getting developed and he doesn't see his family stable, like his father is living somewhere else, sometimes he doesn't know who his father is, and his mother is somewhere. So his generation, his mentality is not I would say is not grown more how the way it should be, how the development of a child would be with a stable family, with a unstable family, how his mind would develop.
it might be counterintuitive, but actually not really. Those who are growing up without a father usually are cooler dudes. Because here's the thing: if you are growing up without a father, you probably need to step up faster in your household to be the man of the house.
I agree, but this also depends on what kind of friends and communities the child has got.
Yeah,
There is a possibility that he's got good friends, because he will, it has been said like you are the product of someone who is 5 people around with you.
Yep.
So who are those 5 friends? It depends on him. He may be a very, very good shiny star, or maybe the worst. But the question is, there should be someone who is keeping watch on it. What is happening with my son? So if the father is there, he can see actually what his child is growing, where he is going. So he can guide, maybe basically to guide for.
I mean, yeah, but what I mean is, of course, there are some boundaries that need to be respected, and not every time it's favorable that there's no father. But usually, those people who I know who come from divorced families and didn't have their father, yeah, pretty fine.
Okay.
And well, I guess you could say maybe if they had a father, they would be even more.
Just
better.
one question from this. I just got it from this. Suppose a child came from the divorced families. Okay, what do you think, according to his mind, what his mind would be? Even he would think like he must have a stable family, or he thinks, okay, because of my parents were divorced, even I can get divorced. What would be basic mentality like this?
Difficult to tell, but for my father, it was the first one. He specifically told me that.
Okay.
That because he came from a broken family, he didn't want this family to be broken.
Yeah. So the next time, according to my perception, he would have he would have felt some issues we would not want that his child should face. So he would be more conscious about it.
In a sense, yeah, but then again, he was sort of too much into alcohol.
Okay.
And that's what I said. Yeah, you shouldn't have stayed together. That's what I literally said to my parents. You shouldn't have stayed together. That doesn't make sense. But then she was definitely my mother was definitely the one who compromised the most in this family. And yeah, of course it was because she wanted a stable household, right? So yeah, that's what you I guess meant with sacrificing part. Because but then again, I'm totally not seeing it happening on a major scale in Latvia. Because that type of sacrifice, I would say, it's not worth it. I mean, we would have turned out fine just as well right? It's just that, yeah.
How about the other European countries? Are they worst or there's
Difficult to tell. I think it's really depends on the either the political background or the ethnic background. Because, for instance, Lithuania, which would be the southern neighbor of Latvia, they have the one of the highest alcoholism and suicide rates in the world, right? So I would guess socially not that good,
okay?
right? And I would guess they have a similar divorce rate.
Yeah,
Because
naturally
but I think in general, Western Europe and America, the divorce rate I think is at least half,
yeah,
at least 50%.
yeah, I agree.
And then you have a big chunk who actually should get divorced but are staying together because of financial reasons or some social reasons. Yeah, I mean, the hapless marriages are a real thing. That's a real thing. And I think because of the internet, because of the exchange of information, it will get more. It will get more. And I don't know if that's a problem, because raising a child means actually giving him examples in life, right? But you can give examples in different forms. You can follow your favorite movie star on your phone, right? You can follow your biggest inspiration on your Instagram, right? It's the thing is, there hasn't been a time in the history of the world like this, so nobody really knows. It's all a big social experiment that's happening. But what I am seeing is that everything gets better. Everything gets better. People don't put up with the nonsense they used to put up. People get more educated. People get more informed. People communicate more. So yeah, I think overall it's a beneficial process. The only thing I'm worried about is welfare or economics, because I think we are, in general, there's too much resources or so much resources, but when it comes to major things, somehow it falls short, right? And I don't get it. I really don't get it, because 12 years ago, right, they concerned themselves with the financial crisis, but I think there's a real social crisis when it comes to the health of people, the well-being of people, right? Because if let's say Lithuania has one of the highest suicide rates and alcoholism rates, it should tell something about some social structures. I don't know if it's related to the divorce rate though. I would guess no. I would guess it's more related to let's say men not being able to actually earn as much as they want to, as much as they feel they should, that they, I mean, in a sense, I think, because alcoholism is usually men, right? Alcoholism is the overpowering majority is men who suffer from alcoholism. I think it's mostly related to people, or to men who think they should be able to do more for their own good, for their family's good, and yet their circumstances that they cannot. They don't have the resource. They cannot put more food on the table. They cannot earn more money, so they feel depressed. And I think that's the biggest problem, because in 2007, 2008, I don't know how many, but I definitely knew several people who got divorced just because of financial issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, the financial issue is one of the factors, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the real bummer for me, that finances, as you said, money is not everything, right? You should have everything in perspective. If you have your health, if you have time, if you have some options, you are still alive, you are kicking, right? You can do something, right? But some people get that tunnel vision, right? If they lose their job, it's the end of the world almost.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And I think that's a social problem. That's a real problem.
Even I have met some girls. He say, if your financial situation is not stable, then it's financial situation today is stable. Maybe tomorrow it get wrong. So what's gonna happen tomorrow?
Well, that's the weird thing, right? It used to be the case if you are a big landowner, you could provide food for your family, right? That was a real metric for evaluating your resources. It still is today. I mean, for those traditional cultures, you still the richest man in town is the one with the most goats.
Well,
Right, so it's still a natural thing, but in nowadays, yeah, I mean, people who, because the weird thing, I know people who do that, right, who wear specifically suits and expensive looking accessories just to be perceived as more wealthy than they are, right, which is sort of strange. It's just strange. I mean, I get it from a evolutionary perspective. I kind of get it because you attract maybe more females, right? But in a social setting, I just don't get it. It seems silly that you have not a Rolex, but a Rolex looking watch, right? Like similar. So just to show off, just to be somebody that you're not really, right? Just almost like trying to fake it till he maybe makes it. Right, and so I guess that's one side of the same coin when it comes to those alcoholics, because they both want to do or be something that they are yet not. Right, it's just that what they choose to do in the meantime. Somebody tries to fake it. Somebody tries to just avoid their responsibilities and drown their sorrows in some drinks. Right, but I think both of them want to establish themselves as real, successful, and worthy of some attention and social value. And I think that's the biggest problem. How do we establish or how do we allow people to establish their social value?
Agree.
Also, no, I don't know if the marriage thing is related to it, but I definitely can see how marriages have been devastated by just this disharmony. That somebody was not the person who he claimed to be, and so the other spouse recognized it at one point or another, and also that this person couldn't get himself out of his misery with no matter how much other people try to help him, and so it gets the divorce as well.
Yeah. What they expect later, it doesn't turn out to be then the.
And the most funniest thing would be if it turns out that it's just too much lesbians in Latvia. That would be the funniest thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would say if it would turn out that the real true cause would be just that there are so many lesbians in this country. I mean, that would be so funny. But yeah, I guess it's just a matter of how do we allow people to establish their real social value? How do we allow people or actually how do we create social value for people?
Hope things will turn out better. Hope that things will turn out better.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I think your generation, my generation, and next generations are the ones who change a lot of it, because I've seen a lot of new kids, for instance. I remember at that time, at that age, my generation was trying to get drunk, and now I see the smaller kids, they're not trying to get drunk. They maybe try to get high.
Because
right?
I would say the possible reason could be awareness, and the results and results, the consequences which they have seen because of this getting drunk. So maybe somebody is aware, like, if I am getting drunk, what is going to happen with me tomorrow, or they are getting affected, which results they have seen from their families, and the information which is available nowadays, more getting awareness. I think this would be one of the possible factor.
Yeah, the social clues are definitely different. It's just that, look, it used to be the case for my generation, right? If we played video games, the parents always criticized us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays it's almost like a viable job opportunity, right? Playing video games. It's just times change.
Exactly.
And if you have the option to actually provide, if you can attract the resources, no matter how, right, you will be of social value in every society. It's just how much do we want that social value to be in the hands of few or as much dispersed as possible. That's what I mean when I say India should have a porn industry. It would create a bigger diversity of equilibrium. Inevitably. At least that's what history has shown us. I mean, I don't remember the one, but you should definitely check out the Hugh Hefner documentary.
Okay.
It's really interesting to see that in 50 years time, one person changed almost a society in general. All right. It's been 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we end this?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, it was great to know you, and it was more communicative. But it had several topics in general.
Yes.
We started from my lifestyle and my starting phase of career and lifestyle there in Saudi Arabia, how it was supposed to be. And for me, I am happily, irrespective to problems in Saudi, not a major problem, common problems, which is of course every country has, and they have. I respect their culture, their values. I respect everything. I really thank Saudi. Because of this, I'm here today. So that was the turning point of my career, to grow much better in terms of developing myself and come to Europe and fund myself and to think more differently, which when I was still in India, I was not traveling much abroad. I was just traveled to China as a tour manager. That was the only exposure which I did. But when I came to Saudi, I little had some saving. Then I started traveling, funding my own. Then I traveled to Turkey, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Jordan, Thailand, and so on. So it gave me some, I would say, motivation to go do something better in life. If I would have been staying there in India, and I would not have be so, I would say, more awareness person. But when I came to Saudi, I saw different nationality. I should develop more. So that was the turning on point of my career. Then I came to Latvia. It was according to my studies. I did my enough research before coming to that, and I was satisfied with this, and my expectations came true. Neutral, not very, very, very excited, not very, very negative. It was quite natural for me, nothing very much surprising. And then we talked about the couch surfing, the understanding your experience so far, how it has been the 6 years of journey. So that was great output for me. I hope it will help me to complete my research paper, and I will pass through. I hope so.
Well, and if you need anything else, you just let me know.
Sure. And thank you for also letting me know about this Latvian society. If in case anything else there in the future, if I come to know, I'll have any question, I'll contact you.
I will be very glad to do you any other favors. And if
I'm looking actually to be here for another few years, definitely. And I don't know what next gonna be, because for sure I don't have any. I too, of course, everybody loves their own country, and because from the land which they come from. But for the moment, I don't have any plans to go back to India and set up something off there. I actually like, to be honest, I had, before coming to Latvia or before coming to Europe, I had choices to go to Australia or Canada and so on.
Ooh, those were better choices.
Yeah, I agree. But for me, one of the reason was, of course, economically, which was fit in my budget. Apart from that, even if I would have fund, today still my friends say, why don't you go for Australia? There would be much more earnings and all. Much better earnings and better lifestyle and so on than Latvia and other European countries. But what I see here, being in Europe, not being in Latvia, just I'm talking about specifically, I see here the positive, and according to me, which I like, that every 2 hours or 3 hours you travel, you see a different world. different types of culture, different types of cuisine, different types of people, language, and so on. So you have mixed of varieties of lifestyle. If suppose I'm bored of Latvia today, I've been living in Latvia, just travel, just take 1 hour flight and you are in different countries. Flight is so cheap, and every month, 2 months I have been traveling to other countries.
Yeah.
So it looks so fascinating to me that this part of the world has such as only this part of land has so many of different varieties of people, language, cuisine, and so on. So you live with so many different kind of people. So it gets more interesting, I would say. These are the Finnish people are different, Swedish are different, Norwegian are different. So if I'm in Australia, I'm only living inside in Australia, and if I have to travel to India, it's a huge expensive flight. I have to plan 3 or 6 months in advance. Okay, I'm willing to travel to India after 6 months. Or even it talks about the Canada also. Okay, if I'm planning to go to India, I will have to plan in advance. But if I'm in Europe, any part of the Europe, talking about Latvia or any Western Europe, it's just 14 hours flight, 13 hours flight, and flight is available or every 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and it is not distance or fare is not so expensive. So being in the heart of center of the world, I would say, Europe is the center of the world. So I would prefer to be somewhere in Europe, maybe Latvia or maybe some other European countries. So I see this not financially strong for sure, but as you know, if money would have been the major core, then I would be back in Middle East countries, in UAE and some other places. So money was not only, of course, it was one of the factor, and money can be earned from here too. It is not possible that people can't make money from here.
With enough creativity, sure.
Yeah, there are online earnings. There are huge opportunities. So if somebody wants to make money, it is possible to make money everywhere. It's just the mindset. I've seen some people, some students, which I read the mindset. I'm happy to read the mindset of the people. Some people are so happy to get a tip of €5. For them, it is a most happiest day. Why? Because he got the tip of €5 today with from Pansul. So I see he's just happy with the €5. He doesn't know the potential that if he works more harder, and he has much more potentials. But he doesn't recognize himself. He knows only boundaries, that okay, he worked, he did some good service in the restaurant today, he got the tip of €5. If he could utilize his potentials and his skills some other way, he could have earned much more. But he is thinking, okay, I'm in Latvia, I got €5. Maybe I would have delivered these services in Paris. Maybe I would have got €20. So his mindset is working according to the destination has the earnings. But I would say destination matters, earning matters based on destination, but according to the living expenses also. How much you are earning, that is how much you are doing the expenses, according to that the earning is there. So if the living cost here in Latvia is low, so the earning is less. So you are comparing Australia and Canada, go to Australia and Canada and see the living expenses there. So end of the day, you will not save much money. Maybe you will have better lifestyle and so on, but end of the day,
technically you should be able to at least have the same proportion of savings as you would here, meaning that in absolute numbers it would be a bigger number.
Exactly. So yeah, earning and all, everything depends on the mindset, how much you want to develop yourself and how much skills you put in yourself, and then you deliver it to for someone else, so that
you provide value.
How you add value to others. I try to see some motivational videos and how you keep on, whenever I get the opportunity to do so, to learn more. And I would say coming to Latvia and what actually I have, if you ask me that what you gained from Riga University, what you have learned, what so much fees you have paid. If I ask this question from myself, that I came to Latvia, I going to complete my masters, what actually I have learned. Did I learn something or everything was no? So if I ask this question to myself, what I have learned, so I have learned this, that it's not somebody is going to teach you or no. If I am sitting with you, you might have been told something, so many things about me, but did I really observe it? Did I really gain something? It depends on me. So it is me who have to adopt the knowledge, and this adoption of knowledge is can't be buy from money. It is accessible and open everywhere. So for example, I learned drop shipping. I when I had this interest, okay, learned about drop shipping, learned about digital marketing. I did my research, and within 3 months the product was ready. But now I need to invest more time on digital marketing so I can do this for myself. So more I learned about the entrepreneur skills has to be developed. More I have to invest in myself. University and academic skills can give you only the 5% of the picture. Whatever you have to do with your own skill. Once you develop your skills, develop more entrepreneurship mindset, then the things will turn out to be better. Whether you live any part of the developed country or the poor country, it would have fact some mindset, but if you have some charm to grow, you will grow some definitely, irrespective wherever you live.
Very good final words, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. It was
That
quite
will do.
long,
That will
maybe.
do. All right, man. Thank you. And let me
Thank
just
you.
press a lot of stops.
Yeah.